What is both a weightlifting move and a word for a foolish person?
A weightlifting move and a foolish person. Now, I'm
That's
thinking
easy,
aloud
that.
here, and I'm thinking snatch.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mikes on Talk Sport. It's the end of the Premier League season, or is it? Chelsea have a chance to grab the glory tonight against West Brom. Can they do it, though? And will Antonio Conte hang around? Mr. Parry thinks he wants to go back to Italy. I think he wants to win the Champions League with Chelsea. We'll also be talking about Ross Barkley as well. Apparently Ronald Koeman doesn't want him at Everton, or at least he wants him to make up his mind and say he wants to be there for another couple of years. And we'll be discussing whether Jose Mourinho has done the business at Manchester United. 08717 223344. Plus, of course, it's Porky Quiz night, and tonight we're doing questions from Trivial Pursuit, so it'll be 12 questions chosen at random. I'm predicting 5 out of 12, and I haven't even seen the questions yet. You're listening to the Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mike. I'm stressed out, and
Why?
well, because life stresses you out.
It does.
You know, when I hear that Ross Barkley is clearly in some sort of negative type area
Yes.
with Mr. Koeman.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Koeman has put him in that place, isn't it?
Well,
though?
no, it's not. Mr. Koeman is the firm smack. Listen to this.
All right. I hear
That's
that.
the firm smacker
I hear
management,
it.
right?
I hear that.
And you have to have the firm smacker
So
management.
in your mind, there's no question who's right here. You say that Mr. Koeman is right as opposed to Ross Barkley.
Yes, I do, because I think Ross Barkley's a fine footballer, a great lad, a good Evertonian. You know, he puts his heart and soul into it when he's got a blue shirt on. But
Yes.
he can't be dilly-dallying around. He's got to make his mind up what he wants to do. He wants to commit himself to the Everton revolution,
Yes.
which is going to happen, or does he think there are fairer pastures elsewhere? All I would say to Ross Barkley
Yes.
is players who leave clubs like Everton, who, you know, are still trying to break into the elite of the top 4, the top 5, top 6, right?
Yeah.
Players who leave and go to clubs who are already there have, you know, by legion, ended their careers.
Yes.
And they've ended up at clubs like Sunderland, via
have.
Manchester City and places like that.
That's right, where their careers have done okay and they've made a reasonable amount of money, in fact, quite a great deal of money.
Yes.
But the other problem is that you said just the other day that you thought Mr. Koeman might have spent his time better keeping things to himself, closer to his chest, rather than, for example, appearing on the cover
Not on the Ross Barkley one.
of magazines where he talks about how he dreams of working for Barcelona.
I would have preferred him not to have done that. But
Yes.
on the Ross Barkley one, what he's got to show the Everton fans is that, look, I'm on your side, not Ross Barkley's side.
Yeah.
Ross Barkley, if he's...
But does he need to make this public?
Yes, he does need
Why?
to make it public, because he's got to put pressure on Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley has a responsibility to the fans. I've just renewed my season ticket, so have tens of thousands of other people in Liverpool who support Everton.
You've renewed your season ticket?
I have, yes, yeah.
Well, you have an idea that you might spend a lot of time up there next season?
Well, I don't think our working hours will be as onerous in
Really?
terms of...
Well, have you been told something that I don't know?
No, I just have a life vision.
Do you?
And I've had it since I was 18, and I go with my life vision,
Do
you
you?
know, so don't worry about
Right,
that.
okay. What was your life vision for last season?
My life vision for last season...
Yeah. How many games do you think you get to?
I thought I'd get to about 10.
In Goodison?
Yes.
And how many did you get to?
7.
7? Not
Yes,
bad. 7
yeah,
out of
not
10.
bad, not bad.
That's better than you do on the quiz.
I
would go with that.
I was quite pleased. You must be in a very good mood tonight, because you predicted that I would get at least 50% in the quiz.
I
That's rather
said,
good.
well, no, I said 6 out of 12.
Yeah, well, that's 50%, actually.
It is 50%.
Yeah,
Well, because
so-
Trivial Pursuit, normally
Yeah,
speaking,
yeah.
you get them because at least, most idiots would get 6 out of 12.
I'll just ignore that and pass on it. Now, the other reason that I'm getting rather agitated
Yes.
is because I have been talking to people who know about things. There is a suggestion.
People.
You won't believe this. You won't
Yeah.
believe this.
All right.
There is a mad suggestion that they are going to revisit the idea of bringing the speed limit on motorways in certain areas down to 60 miles an hour.
Do you know what's interesting about this?
This is mad.
Hang on. Do you know what's interesting about this is that ever since you said that they were going to put it up to 80,
Yeah.
the Porky Jinx has kicked in, as some people on Twitter have pointed out, and it's now suddenly gone backwards the other way.
I can't
so
believe it.
instead of going upwards from 70 to 80,
Yeah.
it's going backwards from 70 to 60.
Yeah, but what happens is...
What a ridiculous situation.
What happens here is right-thinking people,
Yeah.
that's right with a small r, right?
Yes.
Suddenly...
Because we are in an election period.
We are in an election
what
period.
you
You
say.
have to be careful what we
Yeah,
say. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Don't talk about the election.
Yeah, don't mention it.
Don't mention the election.
I mentioned it once. I think I got away with it.
Don't mention the election. and right-thinking people realise that if you put the speed limit on motorways up in this country
Yes.
from 70 to 80... then by my estimates,
Yeah.
because of my Keynesian economic plan...
Keynesian?
Yeah, you would improve the gross domestic product of this country by 1%.
Well, I'm not sure that's true,
By
but let me ask you
1%.
another question, right?
Well, I haven't finished this theory
Well,
yet.
don't worry, I'll let you come back to it.
Right.
If, for example, you were to put the speed limit up to 80
Yes.
from 70,
Yes.
how many people do you think would already be doing 80?
Well, they'd be
As a
doing
percentage?
90. They'd be doing
No,
90
hang on.
then.
How many people are already over 70?
Well, I always drive at 80 because
Do you?
I think it's a fair speed limit.
That's illegal.
Well, it is, but I think I'm more right than the law, if you see what I
Well,
mean.
that's fine. You think
Yeah.
you're above the law,
No,
like most
I'm not above
narcissists.
the law. No, I'm not above the law.
Have you ever been
I'm
done
not
for
above the law.
speeding?
Not for over 10 years.
Right, but so when you frequently drive at 10 miles
Yes.
per hour above the speed limit,
Yes.
knowing that you're breaking the law, you are quite happy with that.
No, I'm not saying I break the law, and
Well, you do, though.
I'm not saying that I drive at 80 miles an
Okay,
hour.
well, you just did.
No. What I'm saying is, sometimes
Yeah.
in a situation where I find there's a convoy of lorries going up a hill,
Convoy of lorries going up a hill.
it's
right.
safer to put your foot down and use the extra speed.
Why are
the
you
extra
trying to
10
get
miles an
past a convoy of lorries going up a hill who would normally be actually slowing down?
hour? Because you want to get past them, so
Oh,
as
yeah,
not to
but-
cause a road blockage.
Really?
Yeah, you don't
Right.
want what is known as a convoy.
A convoy. Are you thinking of any specific part of a motorway?
Yes.
Where, for example? Where there's a big hill?
Coming up the A3 into Guildford and places like that.
That's
you
not
know.
a motorway.
Well, A3M is just further down, so it's just sort of motorway.
What about the tunnel, which I'm very impressed by the way?
What tunnel?
The tunnel, the A3 tunnel. I went through it.
It's fantastic.
When I was going down to Dorset.
Yes, that's right. It's
And
fantastic.
you know, in the F-Pace, when you go through a tunnel...
Yes.
in fact, you saw it, didn't you? Because you drove with me through that tunnel going up to Stansted. It turns into
Oh, yeah,
an
that's right,
amazing
yeah.
picture of
It
a
does.
tunnel.
Yes, it does.
Incredible.
Yes. Yeah, it's
Very
incredible.
exciting.
That tunnel goes underneath a village called...
I don't know.
what's it called?
I don't know.
Because it's the name
Well,
on
you
the
go
tunnel.
all the time.
I go through it about once a week.
Yeah.
And
do you do a speed through the tunnel ever?
No, I'm very, very careful. In the
yeah.
tunnel, I never go more than 50 miles an hour,
50?
even though the legal speed limit is 70.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think that, a slight touch on the wheel through a tunnel, you hit the side wall, you cause all sorts of chaos.
Oh, hang on, it's not Man in Black you're doing here.
In fact, I think the speed limit should be brought down in
Rubbish.
tunnels,
No,
not the same
I don't
speed
agree.
as outside.
What I like in America is the way that
Yes.
they have a maximum and a minimum speed limit. So
Yes.
that if you are doing, say, for example,
Yeah.
65,
Yeah.
the minimum is 45. You
Sure.
can't go any slower than that.
Sure. But anyway, let's get back to my economic theory.
Yes, let's go back to your fantastic
So gross
theory.
domestic product would go up by 1% if we raise the speed limit to 80, and that's people say.
Yeah, but you
how do
say
work
that, but
out?
there's no evidence
It
for
is
that.
because people get from A to B quicker, therefore they're more productive and they're stimulating the economy.
Incorrect.
So, by comparison,
Yeah.
if you put the speed limit down to 60, you are going to reduce the gross domestic product of this country, which
Right.
is fragile
Let me
as
ask
it
you a
is,
question.
by 1%.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If you were travelling from London to Birmingham,
Yes.
which is approximately how many miles?
London to Birmingham,
Yeah.
125.
125 miles. If you were travelling from London to Birmingham at 70 miles an hour
Yes.
or 80 miles an hour,
Yes.
how much time would you save if you went at 80?
Well, if you were travelling at 70 miles an hour, 270s is 140.
Yeah.
So it would take you an hour and
And what?
52 minutes.
An hour and 52 minutes
hour
at
and
70.
52 at
So if you were
70.
going at 80, how much sooner would you get there?
You'd get there 8 minutes quicker.
8 minutes?
8 minutes quicker, yeah.
So
No,
that's
no,
gonna-
no, sorry,
so-
no, I'm just went out in my head. In my head's like 10 minutes quicker. 10 minutes
So
quicker.
you're telling me that is going to transform the economy of this country because you get
Yes.
to Birmingham 10 minutes quicker.
Yes,
to
I am.
sit in a traffic jam, which is going to take you all the way from Aston Villa's football ground all the way into Birmingham.
It doesn't matter.
It's not going to
You-
make any difference.
It is, because you
won't.
get to where you're going 10 minutes earlier.
Doesn't
That means
matter.
you add 10 minutes to your working
Rubbish.
day. Don't you realise that the greatest waste of time and space in the life of a human being is sitting in a car in a traffic jam? Because if you are a truly law-abiding motorist,
Yeah.
you are not allowed to be doing anything else except putting your hands on the steering wheel. You can listen to the radio,
Yep.
but you must not use your phone
Yep.
or your laptop.
Yeah.
You must not in any way be referring to documents.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. That's why, largely, I travel on the train
So
now.
presumably, by the same token of
Yeah.
your particular sort of Porky calculator,
Yes.
if, for example, they reduce the speed limit from 70 to 60,
Yes.
it will take you slightly longer to get to Birmingham,
Indeed.
i.e., 10 minutes longer.
Yes, it will.
And that's going to cause mayhem.
Yeah, well, it will cause
It's
a
10
big-
minutes.
No, because
I mean, you can spend longer reading the
no,
times.
hang on. That's 10 minutes longer in a car
Yeah.
in which you're unable to do anything.
You can do loads in a car.
No, go on. Tell me what you can do in a car.
You can listen to the radio.
I've just said that, but that's not productive to the economy.
course it is.
What's productive to the economy?
You
is being
can,
able-
you can be on the phone. You can be making a
How many-
hands-free
how many-
telephone call.
yeah,
When I'm in the car, I make phone calls all the time.
How many people have got hands-free telephone
Everyone
facilities?
has.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, they have.
If they had, we wouldn't see pictures every day in the newspapers of motorists going around a lot of white van man.
Well, let's not attack
types.
white van man.
I'm not attacking.
I don't think you should attack
No,
them.
they're my friends, white van
Are
man.
they?
But you do see a lot of them because they're busy guys and they're artisans.
Well,
they might
work...
not necessarily have an in-phone system.
That's probably because
they put the phone to their ear.
That may be because the van is owned by somebody they work for.
Could well be.
But most people in their cars now have Bluetooth, and they are able to make phone calls, which are perfectly legal to make, and they're able to get a lot of business done.
Well, you'd hope so, but it doesn't work like that. Because
the time, by the way.
The time? What's wrong with the time?
Well, we're up to our limit, and we need to stop talking for a few minutes so that we can come back and talk some more.
You know, take the analogy. If we worked faster, we'd now have another 45 seconds to talk about things instead of going into the break.
Yeah, but if you spoke too quickly, people wouldn't be able to understand the importance of what you were saying.
Well, that's true. People
and
who
sometimes
speak quickly just look garbled.
I don't know what you mean by that or who you're attacking.
I'm not attacking anybody.
Are you sure?
Of course.
Okay, we don't want to do that.
No.
We are the two mics. We've got loads coming up, including the Porky Quiz, which is going to be based on Trivial Pursuit. We will be putting it out live on Facebook, of course, as we are going to be putting out live our incredible, exciting, all-seeing, all-dancing show that we're going to be doing in New York City in September.
Ain't they pretty, New York City girls?
Go to the2mics.co.uk and buy the live stream. This is TalkSport.
Hey! The sun goes down like a bad, bad dream. You'll end up tight. Gotta let off steam. They say they can break you again and again. If life is a radio, turn up to 10. These are crazy, 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 crazy nights.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on in this hour, we're going to be talking to a very interesting man by the name of Sean David Morton.
Yep.
Now, he's the host of Strange Universe on the radio in America, because we're going to be talking about this weird craft which has been discovered to have been floating around in the ether,
isn't it? Yeah.
for the last 700 days.
Do we know that it's a humanoid craft?
Well, we don't know who's in it. We don't know whether
that's
it's
what I mean.
it's run by robots.
That's
It's
what I mean,
apparently attached to Boeing. It's circulating around the Earth.
Yeah.
We think it might be taking pictures, but we don't know whether it's got a military purpose or a civilian purpose.
Yeah.
And it's only really now that we know what it's a drone of some description known as the Orbital Test Vehicle.
But, I mean,
But you have to worry about who's in charge of this stuff and what they're doing.
But aren't there a lot of those in space?
No.
I mean, don't the Chinese have a lot of these?
Chinese?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the Americans?
Well, we'll be able to ask this guy,
the
Sean
Russians?
David Morton.
Yes.
So this is the American one, which is effectively a spy plane.
Right.
That's what I think it is.
Right, a spy
He will
plane.
tell us.
Okay.
Now, a couple of tweets for you. Gary says this. Tell Mike Parry the horseless carriage no longer exists. Dazza says,
What's he talking about?
I don't know. The greatest waste of time is sitting in your car, obviously not taking yourself into consideration. Hashtag plank.
Sorry, what does that mean? I've read that and I can't understand
I'm
what it
not
means.
sure.
I'm not sure.
Fazel says, MG, make up your mind about your quiz prediction. You've said 6 out of 12, then 5 out of 12, then 6 out of 12. Which is it? I predict 4. Well, I said 6 out of 12, didn't I?
I thought you said 6, but
Yeah.
somebody said they heard you say 5, so
No,
you're all
I've
over
said
the
6.
place as usual.
No, I've said 6. I don't think I've ever said 5.
Listen, have you? Can you remember the last time you got into a glass-floored lift?
A glass-floored lift. You know what? Probably not for quite a few years.
I have always refused to.
Really?
If the door's open, it's
But
glass.
you don't always know when you get in it, it's glass-floored.
Well,
do you?
I look, and you can tell because they're usually outside lifts, aren't they?
Well, not always, because sometimes
Yeah.
you get into it and the bottom, because the base of where you are is black.
Yeah.
You don't know that it's not a glass floor.
Right. Yeah. I'll get this right.
Go on.
2 teen lovers celebrating the end of their exams.
Yeah.
Plunged to their deaths
Oh God.
when the glass floor of their lift caved in.
What? Where did this happen?
Listen, the boy and girl, and this is such a tragic story.
This is a real downer for the first hour of the show.
Teenage lovers, right? The
Yeah.
boy and girl, both 17, age 17,
Yeah.
got in at the 9th floor outside her parents' penthouse
Yes.
to go to a party.
Yes.
So they're at the parents' penthouse having a glass of champagne.
So this is
hello,
their
mummy,
parents'
hello, daddy.
building, in other words.
Yeah, that's right. Their parents' building, that's right.
Dear God.
But the glass floor shattered and they fell down the shaft.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was this?
Listen,
Well,
I'm
can you
telling
get
you.
to where it is before we go on? Because
Their
if it's somewhere
their
where we would
bodies.
expect there to be not very good
Their
lifts.
bodies were recovered by firefighters
Yeah.
in Madrid.
Madrid.
Now, Madrid is a modern city, a
Certainly
leading
is.
European
Yes.
capital, okay?
Yep.
Psychologists were called in to console the families, friends and residents of the
Blimey.
block. Well,
That's
yeah,
awful, isn't
I'm
it?
not surprised.
So it wasn't a hotel.
No.
It wasn't an office building. It was a private residence.
Officials said the lift had been properly maintained and now are investigating this week's accident. I mean, that is the horror
That is
story
shocking,
of horror
isn't it?
stories.
That is
Have you ever
awful.
been in that lift on the outside of the building in San Francisco that's shaped like a pyramid?
The Bank America building?
Bank America, that's
I have
it, yeah.
not. Are you
I
sure
have.
there's one up there? I don't think there is.
There is.
No.
I'm sure I've been in it.
No, I think you're imagining it.
No, there is. It's on the outside.
Well, it doesn't. It's not shaped for a lift to go on the outside.
It is, because it runs...
It's a pyramid. It's like the Shard.
Yes, I know, but the lift outside, they run like, these strange sort of steam train things that run them down mountainsides.
You mean funicular railways?
Funicular
They're
railways.
not steam run. They're run by cable.
Cables, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the lifts on that building are like that. So
Are you sure?
they obviously they don't lean into the building.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd be leaning.
Well, that's
in
what
the
I mean.
lift. But you stand up straight, but they go up and down
Really?
the side. Yeah.
I've
definitely.
never seen that. I'll bow to your superior knowledge
Yeah.
because I have been in San Francisco, but I've never been up that building.
I can't stand like one time.
That building, by the way, is built on skis. You know that, right?
Skis
Yes.
to avoid the earthquake.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the last time I got in one was somewhere in Bournemouth, okay?
Bournemouth?
Yeah, Bournemouth, yeah. I went to some restaurant in Bournemouth. And,
Glass lift?
Yeah, it was a glass lift, yeah.
You sure it wasn't the Shine?
Eh?
The Shine?
The Shine?
Well, isn't there Black Gang Shine? Is that not in Bournemouth?
The Black Gang what?
Or is that in the Isle of Wight? Black Gang Shine. Yeah, there's a Shine. You know the Shine. You know what Shine is, right?
No, there's loads of shines in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They go down the side of the cliff faces
Yeah, right.
and all that kind of stuff.
Sometimes
yeah.
there's a sort of funicular railway that goes up and down the
No,
Shine.
it's not. No, it's not that.
Nothing to do with that?
No, this is a tower block at the top of which is a very nice restaurant, very expensive restaurant
see.
in Bournemouth. Okay,
Really?
yeah,
What's
and
the name of it?
I don't know. Fire?
Fire.
Is it called Fire?
Don't shout that when you're in
No,
there.
no, exactly. Yeah,
Fire!
yeah, exactly. and of course, I was standing there talking to people who I was taking to dinner.
Really?
And then the lift opened,
Yes.
and then we got in. And what happened is exactly what you've just described. As the lift left the ground
You
floor,
suddenly realised it was
so I was
glass.
standing on glass. So I immediately grabbed the rail and wrapped my arms around it and fell to the floor because
Did the people you were with not think that was a bit odd?
yeah, they did actually. They said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "I can't. I get vertigo. I'll be sick if I
Yeah.
don't do this."
Right.
And,
Had you had anything to drink at this point?
no, well, maybe one or two, but I mean, annoying.
bottles.
And I wrapped my arms around the rail, which ran, halfway up the wall of the lift.
Yes.
Because, and even then, I was terrified. I was looking at the. The attachments that the rail has to the side of the lift.
No.
I was trying to work out if they were strong enough to
Well,
hold
hang on.
my weight
Hang
if
on.
the
Is
floor
it
collapsed.
It's a lift that's going straight up. is
Yes.
it? Well, how many people were in this lift with you?
4.
And who were they?
Oh, people I was seeing down there.
Not members of your family.
No, they weren't actually. It was all to do with other things that were
really?
going on, like property things and that kind of stuff.
No, nothing to do with Bournemouth Football Club or anything.
No, nothing to do with Bournemouth Football
Nothing
Club.
to do
No,
with Kelly Summers. She
no,
wasn't there, was she?
no, definitely not. No. Kelly's a lovely girl. We
She
did
is.
that down on the pier.
Because she would have been quite upset if she'd seen you
Yeah.
falling to the floor.
But I was worried then that I was going to rip the rail off the wall of the lift because I'd taken my feet off the floor at this stage to make
What?
sure. Yeah.
What, were you just like sort of hanging?
Yes.
Like
sort
a
of.
chimp?
Well,
That's
no,
ridiculous.
No, but I was terrified. It just got me in a terrifying
I've never
moment.
seen you terrified. I don't believe that.
Well, I can tell you it is because I can't
mean,
get
you've
into
travelled
glass
around
lifts.
the world. You've
Yeah.
had missiles fired at you by the
Yeah.
American Air Force.
Yeah.
Why would you be, in the fetal position in a lift?
Ask Mr. Brazil about one time we went to look at some property
He won't remember, will he?
in Ipswich, okay? And we were being shown around this development, and the guy said, "Oh, yeah, you get a good view from here." We
Yeah.
stepped out onto a balcony, and I'm not joking, it had a glass floor.
Right.
And Brazil makes the joke to this day. He says, "I went white. I fainted. I nearly fainted.
Really?
I was."
So I presume that then you wouldn't want to go. You know the Grand Canyon. They've got a new sort of
No way.
observation deck
No
where
way.
you can walk all the way out, and it's completely glass.
No way.
And you can walk over the canyon.
There's one in China, which is
There is
even
That's
higher
right.
up, isn't
That's
there?
right.
Yeah.
But the Grand Canyon one is pretty high, and you can walk all the way out and look straight down.
Not for me.
Really?
Not for me.
Well, but how about going up the Empire State? When we go to New York in September,
Yes.
right? We're going to be filming.
Yes.
Quite a lot of the time that we're there.
Yes.
One of the things we're going to do is film up the Empire State Building.
Well, you might be, but
Are
I
you not
haven't
going to
been
go?
consulted
Are you
about
telling
this.
me you're not going to do that?
I've never been up the Empire State Building for 2 reasons.
Well,
Firstly,
you told me you'd been up the windows on the world.
yeah, but there's a restaurant at the top where
Yeah.
I took a young lady
Yeah.
and we had dinner there and looked out over the
Well,
vista.
so what's the difference?
Well, the difference is that I thought if I'd ever admitted to going up the Empire State Building,
Yeah.
people would think I had some sort of touristy instincts.
Why?
Well, I don't know, because I lived
The
there and
Empire
I was
State Building
working
is
there.
one of the oldest buildings in the world, right?
Empire
one of the
State?
tallest, one of the tallest, oldest buildings in the world.
It is the original
And
tallest, oldest, yeah.
Exactly, and
yeah.
therefore it's historic.
Well, I agree
and you
with
should
that.
go up there.
Yeah, but all the tourists go up and they bore you to death, don't they? Oohing and ahhing, you
Well,
know what I mean?
we're going to go up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you up there.
Well, do you think you are?
Yeah, I am. If you don't want to come up, that's fine. But, it'll be difficult to speak to you if you're not with me because you'll be, you're 700 feet below me or something ridiculous.
Can't we do something a bit more original?
Well, we're doing all sorts of things, but one of the things we're going to do is go up the Empire State
But everybody
Building.
goes up the Empire State
No,
Building.
everybody doesn't
I
go up
don't
the
think-
Empire
I
State
don't think
Building.
that's quite- I
Listen,
don't
it was
think
good
it's
enough for
original.
Benny Hill when he came to New York, so
Yeah.
it should be good enough for you.
I prefer to go up the Chrysler Building, which I think is a much more
No,
impressive
you can't go
building.
up the Chrysler Building, though.
Of course you can.
How?
We go to the top floor of the lift, that's how, and get out. And then,
well, don't you think that's actually occupied by a private organisation?
yeah, of course it is. We go into somebody's office and say hi, tell them who we are.
Yeah.
We want to come
Well,
and see
first of
your-
all, that's fine, but
Yeah.
they don't have an observation deck, so you can't go outside.
Look out the window.
Well, looking out the window, you could be anywhere.
The other building I like going to the top of, because
Yeah.
there's a swimming pool on the top of
Uh-huh.
it, is the Hyatt Hotel at the United Nations.
The Hyatt Hotel at the UN. Well, there's a
Yeah.
Hyatt Regency on 42nd Street.
That's the one.
Is that the one you
42nd
mean?
Hyatt Regency?
There isn't a Hyatt at the UN.
There is one further
No.
down, isn't it, on 36 or something?
Well, 36 is nowhere near the UN.
It is, because
No, it's not.
it's over
I
on
used to live on
York.
36th Street.
Yeah, but if you go right over to York,
York doesn't go down to 36th Street.
does
sure
York
you
stop
remember-
where the...
York Avenue stops above the UN.
Yeah, it does, you're right. It stops at the UN.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
stops
Well, that's
north,
there. That's there. It's
north
there.
of about 45th
It's there.
Street.
It's there. You're absolutely right.
I don't think there's a Hyatt there. Anyway,
I think
that's
there
going to
is.
bore people to death.
Right.
Let's keep going on about that. How about this from Jamie? Porky's backtracking again, admits breaking the speed limit, and suddenly he doesn't when MG points out it's illegal.
No, all I said was that, look, why do you think cars are allowed to go more than 70 miles an hour in this
They're
country?
not.
They are.
Technically, it's illegal.
No, what I'm saying is that mechanically they are still able to go more than 70 miles an hour.
Well, they're able to, but it doesn't mean you're supposed to.
No, but the reason for that is that even the authorities, in their pig-headedness and trying to make us drive at 60 miles an hour, realise that if you didn't have the ability to accelerate in a car beyond the speed limit, you could put yourself in perilous danger. And all I'm saying is I have, on occasions, got myself out of perilous danger by having to go up to 80 miles an hour in
Break
a car.
the speed limit.
Yeah.
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 Kenny says this, what a numpty Mike Parry is. If they raise the speed limit, all that will happen is people will sleep longer and leave home later. Hashtag plank, which is possible.
Well, sleeping contributes to the economy anyway.
Does it?
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't do any sleeping.
I do as much sleeping as is required.
Really?
Makes you healthier.
How much sleep have you had today?
About 3 hours.
3 hours. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on, it is Porky Quiz time, of course.
Yeah.
And we will be talking about all manner of things coming up at the weekend.
Yes.
It is entirely possible that Chelsea tonight will take the ownership of the Premier League title.
Well, I think they will, won't they?
Well, I'm not so sure. I'm not certain.
Do you know what? I think they'll sweep them away.
Really?
Yeah, and do you know what? It'll be quite romantic memories for me because
Why?
In April 1970,
Yes.
I queued up outside Goodison Park for 5 hours in the snow with my mate Chris Dowling,
Right.
who went on to become a doctor, and he must still be an Everton fan. But isn't it amazing you don't run into these people like 30 or 40 years later?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
at Goodison. You think you would.
Right.
He became a doctor, and he was a great guy, a really rabid Evertonian.
Yeah.
And we got into the ground, and we got right to the front of the second tier of Gladys Street.
Right.
But I think I've told you this story before. Eventually, we had to slip out because the pressure was building up behind us so
Yes, I think you have,
enormously. We were only kids. We were 15.
Right.
And we would have been crushed against the barriers. So, unfortunately, after all that queuing, but everybody's very kind to us and let us sit on barriers and all that kind of stuff, you know. But anyway, the opposition that night was West Brom.
Yes.
We needed to beat them to win the league title. And Alan Whittle scored early on, and then Colin Harvey scored later, and we beat West Bromwich Albion to win the title. So Chelsea are going to beat West Bromwich Albion to beat the title tonight.
Well,
to
I'm
win
not
the
so
title
sure.
tonight.
I think it's a bit of a different kettle of fish from playing somebody
Hang
like
on, have you seen
Middlesbrough.
West Brom's recent record?
Yeah, but,
they've lost
you know.
4, drawn 2.
Yeah.
Their home record, I think they've lost 4 out of the last 5 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a shocking record.
They're not brilliant at the moment. However,
Yeah.
you know, when somebody comes to play at your ground and
Yes.
you know that they can actually, beat you and win the championship and hoist the Premier League
Yeah.
and all that, I don't think you want to be in that position
Well,
if you're a West Brom player.
do you
I
know-
think you'd rather go, actually, we made them do it somewhere else.
I think that's a very good point, because what you don't want to be, especially on your own ground, is making up the numbers to a celebration that's going on with another club.
And I think Chelsea would rather celebrate back home at Stamford Bridge anyway.
Well, they will in the last game.
They will, of course, but wouldn't they rather clinch it there as well?
But can I just say that your theory is a good one, and that, West Brom will be determined not to let Chelsea come here as kings of the castle and celebrate their victory here. But to be honest, Mike, in my experience, having followed, football for good 30 or 40 years and sometimes having to endure that, I've seen teams win the title at Everton at least twice. One of them was Arsenal, Tony Adams.
Right.
And I have to say, they come with a resilience when they know it's only 3 points away that the home team just can't overcome because they're not good enough. They're just not. I mean, I think Everton lost about 3-0 when Tony Adams went. And then not only do you have to watch them celebrate, in those days, I don't know if they'll do it tonight at West Brom, all these officials from the Premier League then bring, all these workmen.
Show up.
Yeah, all these workmen bring on these, these podiums and stands and banners, and they even, on this occasion, they put a new false door over the tunnel so that Tony Adams had to come bursting through with the Arsenal team through one of those, like a dog jumping through a hoop. The Premier League champions.
Like the Incredible Hulk or something.
That's
but that's
right,
the thing, the footballers, as you well know, are very superstitious, right?
Yeah.
And if suddenly loads of people start showing up with all of that sort of malarkey, they'll go, well, actually, no, we don't want to do that. It's one thing to win it, but we don't want to have all this prepared as if we're about to win it, because it smells of arrogance as well, doesn't it?
No, what I'm saying is it smells of arrogance, I agree, but I think that the Chelsea players will be now so focused that they've got one last hurdle to get over.
Yeah.
I think they'll become unstoppable. That's all I'm saying. I think the psyche of a footballer who's so close, I think it will be unstoppable.
I must admit, I did think Middlesbrough would do more at the weekend past. Yeah. And instead, what I discovered as I switched the radio on, I was like, oh my God, 3-0 down. Absolutely hopeless. They had no answer whatsoever.
No, that's
so
right.
maybe you're right. Maybe they will clinch it tonight. My feeling is they won't, but they will obviously clinch it, I think, eventually.
Yeah, there's another reason why, it's grim for me, because there's two games tonight.
Yeah.
And the other game is
Everton
versus Watford at Goodison Park. Now, that would have been the live televised game.
But nobody cares about that game, do they?
No,
really? That's the problem.
No, they don't, apart from Evertonians and Watford fans, who both have the same theme music, of
They
course.
will be playing Z cars all day.
They certainly will.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that if the West Brom Chelsea game hadn't been scheduled for tonight, if it had been the lunchtime game tomorrow or something like that, Everton would have been on the TV game tonight.
Right.
And I believe they're going to beat Watford. So
well, are you going to go because it's not on TV?
No.
Why not?
Well, getting there wouldn't
I guess
be
you
a
have
problem.
to get back for Saturday
Getting back
morning
for Saturday.
show.
Now, we have done that in the past. We did a show up in
we did a show in Liverpool in November of last year.
We did, and then we actually got up, to my memory...
Which was the best, I think one of the best shows we've ever done.
It was one of the best shows ever done. We got up at 5 o'clock. We got a train at about 10 to 6 from Lime Street. We walked
put
there
7
from the
sugars
Adelphi.
in your coffee, I think.
I did, We walked there from the Adelphi.
Yeah.
Mind you could. I mean, I'd walk out the Adelphi with no shoes on my feet just to get out of there.
Yeah.
And
except you did manage to pay for the rooms twice.
Well, I got all that sorted.
Some bizarre.
No,
did you get that money back?
Yeah, oh yes.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. And it was one of those hotels, the Adelphi, when actually you're not sure if you got up in the morning they would even let you out,
right?
Because they wouldn't let you in the night before, so to speak.
One of the worst hotels, in all honesty, that I've ever stayed in my life.
I think it is the worst.
I think it probably is the worst.
I first encountered the Adelphi during the Toxteth riots in the late 70s.
Shame somebody didn't burn it down.
Sort of 80, 81. Yeah, it is a shame, actually, because the insurance they would have got, they could have built a proper hotel in it. But in those days, it was more like a mausoleum than it was when we went, because in those days they had a hotel. They had the hotel bedroom door, but in front of that they had like a stable door as well, and you had to open the stable door, so to speak.
Oh, so like a double door scenario?
It was like a mental hospital. It was like a gate, that you opened.
Bedlam.
It was like Bedlam. Yeah. But anyway, it won't be around for long, will it? Because isn't it closing down?
Well,
somebody's bought it. Or
I
something
think they're
to
trying
knock
to
it
sell
down.
it, and it's certainly been given the thumbs down by almost everyone that's ever been there.
Should be knocked
now,
down.
a couple of tweets for you.
Yeah.
Here's one from Michael. Why not go for a walk through Central Park when you're in New York? We may do that.
Well, of course we
Matt
will.
says, perilous danger. Is there another kind of danger that we're unaware of?
Yes.
Well, that's a bit like
Hidden
that quote
danger.
from. It's a quote from A Few Good Men, isn't it?
What's that?
When they say to Jack Nicholson something about mortal danger, and he says, "Is there ever any other kind?"
Is there any other kind?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Here's one from Steve. He says, "I'm driving down."
Just tell me the truth. You can't handle the truth.
That's right. Driving down from Port Dover, Canada, for the New York show. Can't wait. Listening live.
Great.
Now having some 7-hour drive, taking some expats for some bladderation with no moderation.
Yeah, good.
Says Steve.
Good. Well,
it's coming
you
from,
know, We are responsible broadcasters. We always urge moderation on the bladderation trail, okay?
Indeed.
That is our motive.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes.
Matt says this. I love it how Porky won't go up the Empire State Building with you, but he's happy to go for a date with some lady in a restaurant we're high up.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a spectacular thing to do, wasn't it? To go and eat. You did it, didn't you? Eat at the Twin Towers.
Not only did I eat there, I proposed to my wife there.
Oh, of course you did.
I
That's
actually,
right, yeah.
got down
how
on
did
one
that
knee.
go, then? How did that go?
Very well. She accepted my...
No, sorry. How's it going now, then?
What do you mean, how's it going now?
Well, that proposal.
Well,
does
it's
that
not going
lead
well
to a long and
because, as you
fruitful-
know,
Yeah.
I got divorced and the World Trade Centre collapsed.
Yeah, yes, that's
And
right.
so, in
Well,
fact-
let's not make fun of the World Trade Centre collapsing, but I mean...
Well, I'm not making fun of it, but
No.
what I'm saying is, symbolically speaking,
yes.
I have to say
Yeah.
that during the period when I was trying to rebuild my marriage,
Yes.
when it had reached a crisis,
Yeah.
in the midst of that particular negotiation,
Yeah.
the World Trade Centre was hit by a plane
Yes.
and collapsed to the ground,
I think...
which I took to be a rather unfortunate sort of metaphor for our marriage.
To be strictly accurate, it was attacked by a plane. It wasn't like a random plane hit it, but I mean...
Well,
you're
it was hit
absolutely
by a
right.
plane. I'm trying to be delicate about how I
It was
describe
attacked
it.
by a plane. But anyway...
But thanks for bringing that up.
no, but the point is...
Man,
no.
you're all heart, aren't you?
No.
You
I
are,
just...
compassion is your middle name.
No, I just wanted to know
What a complete
how
and
it
utter
unfolded, and
detritus
of
of a
course, we don't really want to go there because it was a disaster.
No,
actually,
but it wasn't. No, because the day that we went to the top of the Windows on the World,
Yes.
and the day that I ordered caviar and champagne,
Yeah.
and the day that I proposed to my girlfriend
Get really
at the
flash,
time,
eh? Really
it went
flash.
really well
Yeah.
because she accepted
Yeah.
my invitation to marry her.
Yeah, I bet she regretted that.
No, she didn't.
Years
actually.
later.
No, she didn't.
Bet you regret it now.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
How do you know?
Because she's told me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Well,
really?
we still talk to her. You know.
Still talk.
I mean, I know that you have no compunction and no friends because
Yes.
basically people who have known you for many years
Yes.
have given up on you because you're such a terrible, terrible man.
No.
But I've got friends, including my ex-wife.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine.
That's fine,
If
is
you
it?
say so.
That's fine with you, is it?
Yeah, don't you think she has bitterness and
No.
hatred
No,
for the way that you treated her during
no,
those years?
she doesn't.
I mean, I won't go into the details,
she
but
doesn't.
let's face it, some of your behaviour
No, she doesn't.
was pretty, well, let's call it alley cat, shall we? Eh?
Well, we can call it that if you like, but nothing as terrible and ghastly as the way that you let your friends down over the years, I have to say.
Oh, yeah, I let my friends down.
Yeah.
I don't remember letting any friends down.
Really? You walked away from the apartment that is now worth $1.5 million that I could have owned,
Yeah.
despite the fact that you promised you would live there for at least a year.
If you were-
But you decided that because you didn't fancy living there anymore
Yeah,
and you thought
yeah.
you'd move to Washington,
Yeah.
you would just leave me in the lurch.
If you were too dumb and thick to find a tenant for your property...
Well, as you well know,
Then
the housing market had collapsed.
Well,
the housing market had
well,
collapsed.
Sorry,
and
don't
that was
rely on
why-
me to rescue you from a collapsed
Well,
housing
when
market.
somebody promises-
that wasn't my job.
When somebody promises to do
I didn't
something...
promise anything.
Yes, you did. When
No,
somebody
rubbish.
promises to do something, you would expect them to carry out that promise.
Yeah.
But you, of course, just do everything to suit yourself, and you let everybody down. That's what you've done in life. That's what you continue to do.
No, I've never
I'm
let
waiting for
anybody
the next
down.
time that you let me down, because you've already done it twice, and I'm sure the third time will be just as horrendous as the previous two.
I've never let anybody down, and I'm still waiting for the 20-odd grand that I'm owed by friends around the country and the world.
Well, that's your stupid fault for lending
because-
people money who can't pay you back.
Because I have consistently helped other people who are in distress and
In
bailed
the
them
hope
out.
of buying friendship.
And by the way, you
It's
know,
never
the
worked.
return.
They hate you. They all hate you as well.
Yeah, they do. The returning thanks I get for that is,
Yeah.
all these quizzes that
Seen
you
the time,
you
by the
see
way.
all the time, and it says, what would you tell a child today about their life? Mine would be as nice as you want to anybody you want in the world, be as generous as you want, as spirit money,
Yeah.
but don't ever expect to get anything back, because
Yes.
you don't.
No. Well, that's why you haven't got any
Simple as that.
friends, because you're always trying to lend people money in the hopes that you can buy their
No,
friendship.
no.
It doesn't work like that.
No,
Well,
I'm
Anthony-
a mug, and I help people out,
You're a
and
mug.
then it all goes
Well,
wrong.
you finally admitted it.
Well-
Anthony says this, guys, never mix friendship and finances. It never turns out well.
That's a very good mantra. Well
Very
done.
true.
Yeah, I'll take that
well,
one
luckily,
off.
I'm not friends with you, Anthony, so you can lend us money if you wish. This is Talk Sport.
I'll take your brain to another dimension.
I'm gonna send into outer space.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and something we uncovered the other day, Mr. Parry,
Yep.
is that there is this strange and unusual plane which is apparently orbiting the Earth.
Yes.
And it's been up in space for 700 days.
Yep.
It's called the X-37B, and it's a space plane supposedly made by Boeing. Nobody's quite sure what it's doing up there. Nobody's quite sure how it got up there, and nobody's quite sure who's running it while it is up there.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of theories that it might be a spy plane of some kind. It might be some kind of weapon that is being held in abeyance.
Aren't there surely a load of missiles or I don't know,
Well, there are satellites
and things like that.
There are satellites.
Which are kept secret by the people who put them up there. The Chinese must have the equivalent sort of vehicles spinning around in space somewhere.
This is effectively a drone vehicle, right? Now,
Yeah.
everybody knows there are satellites up there, and everybody pretty much knows who launches satellites and when they go up and what they do when they're up there.
Yeah.
And some of them are military satellites, and that's fine. What we don't know is exactly what this thing is. But happily, we've got Sean David Morton, who does a radio show called Strange Universe, and he's going to tell us what he thinks it is and what on earth is going on. Sean, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. You sound like Aquaman. You're breaking up horribly, so I hope I can understand. I'm only getting every third word. But
okay. Maybe it's because of the bad reception in wherever it is that you are, or it could be that somebody's trying to cut in on our transmission. I'm not sure.
Well, I have full bars here, so if you can understand me all right, then I can.
Okay.
I can barely understand you. You sound like.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, if we can hear you fine, but what we will do is get you on and maybe a better line, and we'll see how that all goes. I mean, one of the things that we're being told is this is one of the most mysterious crafts ever. It's supposedly run by the U.S. Air Force. It's supposed to be unmanned, right? And it's got some kind of mystery payload on it. We're not really quite sure. Is that any better? Can you tell us, Sean? Is that any better?
Right, I think we've lost
breaking
that.
up.
Yeah, there you go. Is that any
Okay.
better?
Still breaking up.
No, I think we've got to call. Call Sean back.
Yeah,
haven't we?
Sean, I'm afraid
We're gonna call you back, man.
Is not able to get himself onto a phone line that works. In any event, anyway. So here we have. You're quite right to say that we have these things that go from time to time around the Earth. You know, we know the Russians have got.
You see, I think it's good. I think it's good. It's a mystery craft. Okay.
Why? Why is a
because-
mystery good?
Well, because if it's a mystery to all of us and it's a mystery to experts who study these things in space, then hopefully it's a mystery to the Chinese, to the Russians, to the enemies of freedom and the West. And
Are you saying the Russians are enemies of freedom?
oh, yeah, definitely.
Huh?
Yeah, definitely.
I thought you were on their side.
Well, I do like the way the Russians do things when in terms of...
Enemies of freedom. Isn't that a George W. Bush phrase?
No, I don't think so.
Enemies of freedom.
I mean, you know what Civis Romanus Sum means, don't you?
What?
Civis Romanus Sum.
Civis Romanus Sum. No.
Yeah, it means I'm a Roman citizen.
Does it?
And that meant that anywhere in the world, if you're a Roman citizen and some barbarian, deigned to punch you in the face or something like
from
that.
Chester.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, somebody from Rome would come and sort you out.
Okay.
And I like the way that the Russians do that. You know, if you're a Russian citizen, we look after you.
Okay.
However, their plan to, be mischievous around the world irritates me a lot.
Okay.
And so, therefore, I'm glad we've got some special secret satellites keeping an eye on them.
Let's try Sean one more time
Indeed.
because we've got him back, I think. Sean, how's that?
Okay. I hear you fine now.
Oh, that's good. Excellent. Now, tell us what you know about this X-37B space plane. What do you think it is?
Okay. Well, this thing, all I can tell you is that I saw a prototype of this thing actually flying back in I think it was the summer of 1993.
Wow.
And myself and my friend John Hadley, there was an object that was coming in from space that was traveling at Mach 25 that was actually landing. And this was on the news. This was not classified or anything. This was on Channel 7 News.
Hang on, Sean. Mach 25.
How can you see something travelling at Mach 25?
Exactly. That's 20,000 miles an hour.
On the news, on Channel 7 News, whatever this thing was came over my house in Hermosa Beach and created in Southern California something called a skyquake. You guys can look it up.
Yeah.
Whereas Caltech said that this object traveling at Mach 27. Now, they were saying there were two objects because they were double sonic booms that then created literally an earthquake from the sky. So in my house, the ceiling started to go, then the windows, then the floor, and then we turned on the TV and they said whatever it was landed at Area 51. The military denies all knowledge. Now, a couple of months later, I was actually out at Area 51 at the along the road, actually on Highway 375, which has been named the extraterrestrial highway. And I was the guy that got Area 51 on the front page of the LA Times, made it a national story, found the hilltop that actually looked down on the base and actually filmed and videotaped Area 51 for the first time. Now, myself and my friend John Hadley, I know we don't have a lot of time, but this object that was about 1,600 feet from tip to tail had a big blunt shovel nose on it, looked like a flying, like if you took two doorstops and put them together, two wedges, and put them together, cut in half, black on the bottom, silver on the top. It was scooped up in the back like a 1960s Corvette. Sorry, I'm on the Disneyland and the train is going on. And there were three retros on the back of this thing. Now it was being followed by a bunch of chase planes, and there was a ripping roar that came through the valley that shattered the window on the truck. This is the only time that the Wackenhut Security Force used to be called DISCO, which is the Defense Intelligence Strategic Command Organization, but then they went to private security called Wackenhut. It's the only time they ever chased us because they thought that we had video of whatever this thing was, and we managed to make it back to our motel. It was basically up in Rachel, and Hyde, and these guys didn't catch us.
So, Sean, let me just interrupt you, Sean, for a second. Are you saying that this craft, right, which we only know as the X-37B, is flying around in orbit around the Earth at Mach 25? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it said it lands at Mach 25.
Yeah, but is it travelling around at that speed?
It comes into the Earth's atmosphere. Look, we have a space fleet. We have three, I guess you would call destroyers. I mean, the biggest one is I think the one that I saw was actually called the USS Gus Grissom. And we have the Grissom, we have the Alan Shepard, and we have the John Glenn. And a lot of them fly out of a base that we actually have at the North Pole of the Moon, which is called Cape Malabar Radio. And you can trace this back to the UFO lore as to why supposedly Eisenhower met with what they call the Tall Whites in 1953 because the National Security Agency had actually landed on the Moon in January of 53, that far back. So I've written three books on this called Sands of Time, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3, The Isomer Protocol, which were the journals of a man who was one of the top guys in the whole operation before he, I don't know what he did. I don't know if he died or jumped into time or whatever else. So we have this. And as a matter of fact, a year later, they showed a prototype of the X-37 on, I think, the Discovery Channel, saying that this is what we would have sometime around the year 2030. Go ahead.
So Sean, you say that the Americans, so that means the West, have got a space fleet of these planes, these X-37Bs, which are taking off and landing at all times. Why aren't we more aware of their presence? If you only saw one back in 1993, which is a long time ago, what have they been doing since then?
Well, they don't usually land. I was told that the only reason this thing landed a couple of times at 5-1 was because it was broken. Something was out of phase with what was going on with it, was why they had to land this thing. And actually, once again, in my books, Sands of Time, Volume 1, 2, and 3, I describe the whole interaction of this and how they just don't come to the planet that much. They're mostly things that patrol the solar system.
I see, because they're not manned, are they? Of course, so it's not
drones.
Yeah, it's not like a human being is living aboard. Yeah, I see. Okay.
No, of course they are. Of course they are. They've got. There's like 400 guys on each one of these things.
Well, what are they doing though? So, Sean, what are they doing? I mean, I appreciate that you've got a lot of knowledge about this and you've got a lot of information that you want to impart to us, but we've got limited time.
Yes,
so what can you tell us about what these supposedly these crafts are doing?
Well, it has a lot to do with mining operations. It has a lot to do with protective operations, not only against extraterrestrial threats.
Sorry, is this mining minerals off the moon, do you mean? Because there was a report this week that there's a lot of gold on the moon that we need to acquire.
There's gold, there's helium-3, there's platinum, there's all kinds of things. The moon is an extrasolar object that was parked in orbit however many thousands of years ago. It's an artificial construct.
Yes.
So, yes, they mine iron ore to turn it into oxygen to support the moon base there, and they do a lot of mining operations.
But that's a big operation. I mean, it's a big operation. It would involve an awful lot of spacecraft. Where is their Earth base if they're mining minerals off the moon?
What are they doing with the minerals?
I was going to say, they've got to bring them back somewhere.
There's Area 51, there's Area 6413 in Utah, there's Pine Gap in Australia. That they're building a huge underground facility with. Remember, the majority of these ships are all held underground. Yeah. I would say probably 2/3 of the state of Nevada is a massive underground facility.
2/3 of the state of Nevada,
and who is funding all this? Because we hear that Donald Trump, of course, who is not a man that generally would be disbelieved about whatever it is that he says. He says that they've got a limited amount of money to do things in space. They've got a limited amount of money to do other things. Where's all the money coming from?
Well, that's on the public side. Why have we been in Afghanistan for 15 years? Because Afghanistan generates $100 billion cash to the Central Intelligence Agency in heroin alone. All these black operations. For example, the Pentagon a year ago just lost $3.5 trillion. That's trillion with a T.
Yeah.
They just went, oops, where did it go? And
Yeah, well, where did it go? That's a good question. Yeah.
The idea would be
okay.
it's that and
okay.
the 2008 bank heist of all the trillions.
See, the strangest thing about all of this, though, Sean, is that you have to buy into everything, including Area 51, the fact that there's black ops, the fact that there's money coming from Afghanistan secretly funding the CIA, and everything else. You can't just have one belief, which is then made sense of by everything else being sensible. You have to have all these crazy theories, and you have to buy into every single one of them.
Well, at Area 51, we would go out there every Wednesday night and watch these test flying saucers. We had film, we had video, we had all kinds of stuff. Something was going on there. We had scientist Bob Lazar who was telling us about it. We had, there's all kinds of investigative stuff that had to do with what they were doing at Area 51. But,
Yes, but I've seen all those documentaries, and none of them prove anything, unfortunately. But listen, Sean, we'd love to explore this more with you. We will.
Thank you very much for your time.
When we've got more time to explore it. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. There's all sorts of, sort of conspiracy theories.
Did you pick up that Sean said that some of these craft carry 400 troops?
400 troops, yes. But I don't know where from. This is Talk Sport. Now, there's some very interesting tweets that have come in. You can tweet us, of course, at The Two Mics. You can go and find our Facebook page, which is called The Two Mics. Michael says this: that bloke's mad. He's got some bizarre theories. He's talking about the man that we just had on, talking about...
Well, I think he's mad as well. I mean, talking about, that there are troop ships flying around in space with 400... soldiers on board each one. I mean, it is completely mad.
It seems a bit unlikely, doesn't it?
Yeah, very unlikely.
But also, as I said to him, unfortunately, you can't have one conspiracy theory. You have to believe in all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for example, you have to believe that the moon landings were a load of rubbish, but you have to also now believe that there are these drone ships flying around space filled with people flying back and forward to Area 51, which is, of course, a secret place where they took the aliens, and we don't know about that.
That's right.
Richard says, this dope is a discredited conspiracy theorist trying to sell books. He's well known here in the US as a mad nutter.
Is he? Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Jim says, on the other hand, love tinfoil hat man. There are thousands of unmanned planes up in space mining the moon for cheese.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, well, not for cheese, but we already covered the other night, didn't we, the fact that there is a credible research document into the ability of man to go and mine gold on the moon.
Well, you said it was credible, but I'm not sure.
It is credible.
Wilson says this: Porky's asking questions like he's about to quit the Two Mics for some moon gold mining.
Well,
#money lover.
Well, you get offered to invest in projects every day, and you have to pick and choose.
Yeah, but you get offered these kind of things. I mean, I was only ever offered it once by somebody who wanted me to get into one of those film, tax shelter
good job
things.
you gave that up.
And I just said, no, I don't like the look of this.
No,
it doesn't look like a very sensible thing to get involved in.
Do you know what? If you'd have done that, you'd be even more bankrupt than you are now.
Well, I'm not at all bankrupt.
No, exactly.
Thank you.
Now,
I mean, the point is that I'm responsible. I don't think I'm not trying to get rich quick. You see, you are always trying to get rich quick.
No, I'm
so
not.
you're always looking for the main chance to turn your vast amount of money into an even larger vast amount of money.
Not at all.
Yes, you are.
Not at all.
You are, because that's your raison d'etre in life.
People didn't they want to know once about my my gaming machine empire? We never got around to
you've
talking
never
about
really
it.
told us about that.
Well, I don't want to.
Why don't you?
There's no need. There's no need.
I want to know about it.
Well, maybe at some other time. Look, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Now,
is it no more then?
What do you mean?
Have you got gaming machines anywhere that you own?
No. It was a short term. I was on a period of gardening leave, and during the path and progress of my career.
Only you see. But this is the thing about you. Yeah. You cannot stand the idea that there isn't some kind of revenue stream coming your way, right? Yeah. So you've got your Porky scratchings going on.
Yeah.
We've obviously got various things with the Two Mics that we do.
Yes.
Which is creative.
Yes, of course.
And the reason I do it is because it's creative.
Creative. Yeah.
It's nice to make a little bit of money as well.
Creative doesn't pay the gas bill.
No, but I mean. Yeah. I would not wish to be, for example, a spokesperson for snake oil.
Right.
Whereas you would.
No,
as long as it brought you some money, you would do almost.
You
would
do
that's
not fair.
If somebody came to you and said, "Would you mind assassinating a couple of Syrian refugees? We'll pay you a couple of grand." You'd probably do it.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't get into that sort of thing. My gaming empire was a credible business built up, and in fact, I'd be a multi-millionaire now.
Well, if it had it worked.
No, it did work, but then I was given an offer I couldn't refuse to get back into the business of journalism. And
so, the gaming empire had to suffer as a result of that?
I sold it.
How much did you sell it for?
A lot more than I bought it for.
Really?
Yeah, because I bought it one by one. I bought machines one by one.
Well, you actually bought gaming machines.
What I did was...
You're talking about fruit machines.
I'm talking about fruit and gambling machines, right?
What's a gambling machine?
A gambling machine is like when you get Chris, what's his name, are asking who wants to be a millionaire questions and all that
Chris
kind of
Tarrant.
stuff. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, what? So you put sort of half a crown in?
Well, you put a lot more than that in. You put about £2 in.
You put £2 in,
yeah.
And you play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, the one that made me...
How much can you make if you're a punter,
I think in those days, the maximum you could win was £7, actually, because there were lots of
£7?
restrictions. Yeah.
Well, that's not much.
Yeah, but if 5 or 6 people were putting in, 30 or 40 quid a night to try and win £7, which people do, then that was the...
I presume you rigged the machine so they didn't pay
the
out.
The ones that made me money, funny enough, were called the Crystal Maze.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Crystal Maze was very big at the time. It was a TV show with a guy with a bald head.
I remember it very well.
Yeah,
Andy Goldstein was talking about it the other night. He said
he?
that the Crystal Maze... sort of, I don't know what the set.
Yes.
You can now go and visit.
Oh, yeah.
And you can actually play the game. And he said that he was playing some game with the Manchester United players.
Right, okay.
And he played the bold guy.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
And led them around.
Yeah. Well, they were put into gaming machines, right? So what I would do, what you do is it's quite simple. You go and buy a machine.
Yeah.
And then
how much are the machines?
Well, that's a good question. If you buy the machines at source from companies like Bell, who manufacture them, they're probably about £600 or £700.
Is that all?
Yeah.
That's not much.
But then they retail, right, because that's wholesale. They retail at about £2,000.
Okay.
And then they moved on to
Still,
the
you
market.
get that back quite quickly, wouldn't you?
Very quickly indeed, particularly if you're moving around from one pub to another, because, people tire of them after about a month.
Right.
And you just send a guy down with a van. He lifts these machines.
Right.
These big guys lift these machines, put them on the back. They're very heavy.
Yeah.
Put them on the back of a truck, and then they take them.
And how do you get them into the individual sort of establishments?
You literally do it by word of mouth. You walk in and you say hi. And you...
My name's Mike Porky Parry.
Well, no, I never did
I've
that.
got a machine for you.
No, I sent people to do it, obviously,
Did you?
And I said, and you give them a deal, 50% of the takings, all that kind of stuff, tell them how successful the machine is.
Right.
And it's a cutthroat business, and you have to make sure the machines are secured very well, otherwise they get robbed or they get stolen.
And presumably you can't put them into a chain, for example. You'd have to because that's too much bureaucracy.
Well, funny enough...
You have to go through the chain management.
Funny enough, you'll find, or certainly we found, that the landlords of a pub, even if they were just the managers in a big chain, had an awful lot of freedom to do... I mean, this is where the Porky scratching situation...
So they can make the decision.
Yeah, they make the decision.
Yeah.
It might be part of a big chain, but they say, no, I like that. That will... Because they have to make a return each week on their pub. And if they think that's going to produce them 500 quid, they'll take it.
So I guess, as well, if they don't have to lay out money, they just have to get money in.
They don't lay out any money.
That's a good deal for them.
They don't. All they have to give
How many machines did you have at the height of your business?
28.
What?
Yeah.
28?
Yeah. In pubs.
Dear God.
Around...
did you not at any point think...
Surrey and Hampshire.
As you were kind of, lording it over this, so-called empire of yours.
Yes.
Did you not ever think, this is what I've come down to? I used to be a journalist.
Not
and
at
now
all.
I'm just a sort of shoddy, shady businessman.
No. I thought the other way. I had an eye on a property I was going to buy on the banks of a river when I built it up to about 200 machines, and I was going to become a very wealthy man, because even with 28
you
machines,
are a very wealthy man.
Well, that's up to debate. Doesn't matter. But this would have been really wealthy. I mean, I would have been earning. My estimate was I could have been earning 40 grand a week.
Yes.
If I had expanded
from all of those machines, or you'd have to have more.
Oh no, a lot more than 28. On 28, you were clearing about. I would say about 3 grand a week.
3 grand a week?
Yes,
That's not bad.
Right. Yeah, it's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Bad. But there's a lot of work involved.
Why did you just keep it going when you took another job?
Because when I took another job, it's a very time-consuming business.
Is it?
You've got to visit every property at least once a week to make sure that nobody's fiddling the machines, that the meters are all in place.
You could have appointed like a manager or something?
No. The one thing you do, you can send representatives to go and get the machines installed in the pubs and all that.
Right.
The one thing you have to do is go and collect the money.
All right.
Because you can't allow anybody else to go and collect the
money.
money.
Why not?
They might steal it.
Well, surely you'd employ somebody who was your employee.
It doesn't matter.
Who you would trust.
It doesn't matter. The temptation is there because you're dealing in thousands of pounds
Cash.
worth of cash. That's
Yeah.
right, yeah. And so you had to go and collect the money yourself.
Very
and then,
shady business.
No, it's not
altogether.
shady business.
No.
It's a cash
I would
return
be,
business.
It's not the kind of thing you could admit to being involved in.
Why not?
If you were in sort of, polite company.
Why not?
Well, because it's a sort of, it sounds dodgy.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't.
The cash business.
The biggest
Might as well be
cash.
selling drugs.
The biggest daily cash revenue business in the world
Yeah.
is newspapers.
Well,
right?
not
It
really.
is.
Yeah.
It is because a guy on the
but you
street
don't hear-
corner selling
but
newspapers.
But you don't hear Rupert
Yeah.
Murdoch saying,
Yeah.
I can't trust anybody. I have to go around to the shops by myself and pick up all the money.
Well, you
Do
know, who Gerald Ronson is?
Yes.
Gerald Ronson,
Yeah.
who got sucked into the Guinness scandal
Yep.
very unfairly because he wasn't guilty of anything,
Uh-huh.
but was a terrific businessman, mostly in property. But from a very young age, he started buying up petrol stations, right?
Yes.
I mean, the last time I heard, and this was about a year ago, 18 months ago, and I read an interview with him, he still gets up at 6 a.m. every Saturday, even
Yeah.
though he's in his 70s,
Yeah.
and he tours all his petrol stations and collects the money because it's a cash business.
Well, he's an idiot then if he's
No,
doing
he's
that.
not. He's a dedicated businessman
No,
who
I don't think so.
who decided to keep an eye on that because it was his first business and it was sentimental to him. And that's what you have to do. You wouldn't know about any of this because you wouldn't ever have
You see, you're going to turn on me
the
now.
no, you wouldn't have the
because I
expensive
wouldn't-
thought to
no,
do
I
it.
wouldn't want to be involved in some shoddy,
No.
ghastly, sort of really, really down at heel, sort of, dodgy business.
The only time you ever want to go into a pub is to get bladderated.
Not true.
Whereas I found a source of revenue in a pub because that's where people
but
spend
you
a lot
gave
of
it.
money.
Yeah, but you gave it up.
I gave it up
So
because
you
I
don't
wanted to
stick
come
at
back
anything.
into... No.
You don't stick at anything. You
Rubbish.
give things up all the time.
Rubbish.
Everything you've ever done, you've given up on.
No.
This is my new theory about you.
No, I wanted
You
to
have
come
not
back
stuck
into
with
journalism.
anything all your life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so
When
my
was-
property portfolio just came
Well,
yesterday, did it?
Well, I don't know. You tell me that you're not a millionaire. I keep asking you if you are. You say you're not.
I'm not. I'm not. But I've been investing in property for over 25 years.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So that's not Johnny come lately, is it?
Well, you didn't invest in my property.
Yeah. Well,
you
your
lost
property,
me my property.
Your property was
You know,
rubbish. It had
my
rats in
property-
the garden.
My property was $1.5 million
down- run
dollars
da-
worth
run-
of apartment in Manhattan.
Run down-
which you allowed to go to rack and ruin.
Rundown tenement in Lower Manhattan. I'll tell you something. I wasn't going to invest in that.
Yeah.
Pal. No
Yeah,
way.
Well, it was not in Lower Manhattan. It was in Midtown, and it's worth an awful lot of money. And you are a massive plank for not letting me keep it.
Lower
This is
Manhattan, man.
TalkSport.
Father wears his Sunday best. Mother's tired, she needs a rest. The kids are playing up downstairs. Sister's sighing in her sleep. Brother's got a date to keep, he can't hang around. Our house.
Talk Sport, we are the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on, it is, of course, the Porky Quiz. This week it is based upon a game of Trivial Pursuit. We do that from time to time because it helps to keep everything on the straight and narrow so that the independent quizmasters cannot be accused of gerrymandering it.
Yep.
How about this, though, from Muso, who says that Mike Porky's Parry's now sounding more and more like some dodgy Arthur Daly character.
Well, that's very nice, isn't it?
Well,
eh?
I can't help the way that people
Yeah.
contribute
Well,
to the show.
you know, you asked me about something I did in my previous life. I
Yes.
told you about it, and
Well,
then
you said you didn't want to tell me about it, then you did tell me about
I
it.
told you about it, and then you turn it against me. As
I haven't turned it
I mean,
against you.
whilst I was doing all that, you were just, bladderating along,
Not true.
stumbling from one newspaper job to another. When
Incorrect.
newspapers, were facing a tough time,
No.
I got on my bike and did it.
Well, no, you got fired from newspapers because people realised that you were no longer worth employing, and so
No.
you had to find some other form of income.
No.
How about this from somebody called the Family Rug?
Yeah.
Porky trusting nobody, he really shouldn't be judging people by his own low standards.
It's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, listen, I want to talk to you about this thing called the fidget spinner.
The fidget spinner,
Yeah.
yes.
Now,
You know,
what is
I
it?
only
What is it?
discovered what this was, and I'm still not entirely sure what it is, last week, funnily enough, because I went to pick up my son from school.
Yes.
It was last Friday,
Yes.
and I noticed all these boys were walking out of the school at the appointed hour, which is about 3:15 in Friday afternoon.
Right.
And they had these kind of yellow-looking mini wheels.
Well,
right?
they're any colour, apparently.
No, are
Blue,
they?
pink,
Yeah,
yellow.
well, I only saw them with yellow ones,
Right,
and they were
okay.
sort of spinning them between their fingers, and they looked like sort of I wasn't sure what it was.
So did you ask your son?
Well, yeah, I did because he came out and he had in his hand because he's obsessed at the moment with scooters, and so he and his
Right.
brother
Yeah.
go down. I take them to this scooter park, this
Yeah,
sort of
sure.
skateboarding place.
Yeah.
But he had taken into school one of his scooter wheels because he's got one of the things they do is they buy different wheels and they put
What,
different
on the
wheels on.
scooter?
Yeah, on the scooter. Yeah, they're very small, like wheels
Yeah, I
about that
see,
size,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the scooters cost £200. I mean, they're
Right.
very expensive.
How much do the wheels cost?
The wheels cost anything from I think a £5 to £20 or something.
Really, yeah.
Anyway, he had taken a wheel into school, and I said, "What are you doing with that?" and he was kind of spinning it in his hand. And he said, "Oh, I was told I could bring this in." And I went, "Okay." I said, "What are these other things that everyone is spinning?" And he looked at me like children sometimes do, like you're an idiot.
Yes.
And he said, "Well, they're fidget spinners, Dad."
Yeah.
And I went, "Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what they
What
are."
is a fidget spinner?
And he said they're very trendy, and everybody at his older brother's school have got them, and every kid apparently in Britain wants these things, but I don't even know where you buy them.
Well, they cost less than £1. But
Do
what are they? I mean, where do they spin them? You know, like the old spinning top?
Yeah.
Like the one you might get out of a cracker.
Yes.
And you literally spin
And
it
you
on
spin it on the table, yeah.
and it stays upright
Yes.
until the revolutions
Right.
slow down. It
Well,
falls over. Is it like that?
No, these things are spun sort of in the air, so you hold them in your hand upright like that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, if you can imagine, say, a carnation.
Yes.
If you were spinning a carnation round and round and round.
Oh, I see.
You spin it between your thumb and your third finger, right?
Oh, I see, yeah.
And it's almost like you're spinning, or any kind of flower. It doesn't have to be a carnation.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
A rose or a tulip or
So
something.
is there an axle on it? It's not all one piece. There's a piece in it that moves. Is that
look,
right?
The producer David just brought one in.
Oh, blimey!
Actually,
Brilliant.
I didn't really know that was what they were. I thought it was like a sort of flower type.
No, it's not. So the middle of
I
it.
see. So it's kind of like a.
So the middle of it is like an axis, and the
And when
three
you- and when you
prongs
hold it-
around it spin around.
And
Can
when
I
you
have a
hold
look,
it,
please?
when you hold it flat,
Yeah.
it spins. I guess.
Yeah, let's have a look. Hang
I
on.
mean, I should know more about them because
So how do you make it spin? Just
I think if you get the angle right, you don't actually have to spin it. If you get the angle right, it spins on its own.
Do you know how to do this, David?
I just showed you that.
Yeah, well, hang on.
It says a hand spinner, right?
Oh, I see. Right, so
And guess where it's made?
where?
China.
China, yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And you spin and
Well, no, you hold it and let it spin by itself.
yeah, but what,
Well, create an angle,
For what-
right?
for what
Hold it
reason?
flat,
Oh,
right?
there you go.
And it spins on its own.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
the point.
Yeah,
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see.
So then I suppose what you then do
Yeah, I've got it,
is
yeah.
you try and get it to spin in different directions.
Yeah, and all that. Anyway, listen, I'll tell you why this is so
Hand
interesting.
spinner.
This has become the latest, like, Rubik's
Yes.
Cube. But listen to the tragic story behind it. Catherine Hettinger, 62, from Florida,
Right.
created the spinner 2 decades ago as a way of keeping her 7-year-old daughter, Sarah, entertained.
Right.
So just to try and explain as graphically as I can to our listeners, the middle of the spinner is an axle.
Yes.
And then the main part of the spinner is 3 circular prongs all attached to each other,
Yeah.
which spin around the axle.
They do.
And you hold it between your thumb and your third finger, but
Yeah.
you use your use your index finger
Yeah.
to bang it and make it start spinning.
Right.
And then you have to try and spin it as fast as you can.
Okay.
But this is the tragedy of the story.
Right.
Catherine Hettinger, Florida, created the spinner 2 decades ago to keep her 7-year-old daughter entertained. She held the patent for 8 years, but then had to surrender it in 2005 because she didn't actually have enough money to pay for the renewal charge.
Really?
Chris Hildew, head of Churchill Academy in Somerset, this week said he shared a letter from a pupil complaining about disruption from spinners. I'm not sure what that's got to do with it, but anyway, it's not quite clear who owns the rights to this.
So when you
spinning
buy
thing.
this thing, which is made in China, I presume,
Yeah.
instead of her getting the royalty for that,
Yeah.
presumably the company in China gets all the money, right?
Here, somebody's clearly making money, but nobody quite knows who.
Yes.
The inventor, that's the woman Catherine Hettinger, certainly isn't. It emerged yesterday that the woman who came up with the spinner's design couldn't afford the £310 fee to renew the patent
Right.
once she'd lodged the patent, and the patent ran out after 8 years.
Right.
£310.
Now, I'm getting some help here, as we often do, from
Right.
the people listening to the show, and it seems to me that it's been something that has been come up with for children with attention deficit disorder.
Yeah, I see.
Originally designed, says somebody here,
Yeah.
for children with attention deficit disorders.
Yeah.
And another one here, fidget spinners are supposed to help ADHD kids focus in
Yeah.
class.
Okay.
So I guess the original idea was that they would be in some way an aid to education.
Yes, I see. Or
because-
focusing the mind.
Focusing the mind. But
So what it says in the report I've got here, available
Yeah.
for less than £1, they are
Right.
selling at great speed, but they are causing great controversy. Scores of schools have banned the toys for disrupting classrooms.
Yes.
But campaigners and parents say the spinners are great for what they were invented to do, helping kids with conditions such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder
Yes.
to focus or sit still. It has emerged the inventor has not made any money from the craze, but she says she's thrilled her idea has taken off.
Right.
The toys have propeller arms that spin on a skateboard ball bearing in the centre. That explains it better
I mean,
than
it's
me.
actually. I mean, when you
That
hold
kids
it,
hold between finger and thumb.
when you hold it, it feels quite substantial. You know, I don't know whether this one is a
Here
particularly
here
well-made one. You know what I mean?
You've got to try this now, right?
Yeah, go on.
Once the gadgets are rotating, children can balance them on their fingers, much as an artiste in the circus would balance a plate
look,
on
like
top
that.
of... That's it. That's
Like
it.
that. See,
That's
I
it.
can do that with my thumb.
Yeah, on their fingers.
Yeah.
Perform tricks or take on their friends by seeing whose toy spins the longest and the fastest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
See, I'm of the opinion as well that if you change the angle slightly, it
Yeah.
actually perpetuates the spin, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Almost like there's a sort of weight
I
bearing
understand what you're saying,
scenario going on.
Well, I tell you what.
But I tell you what, I could not spend an awful lot of time doing this.
No.
You know what I
No.
have to do is I'm going to have to buy a couple for my kids.
Yes.
And see what they make of it.
That's
you know?
right. And just to give you a rundown on the sort of things that have fulfilled this role in the past, the
Yeah.
Rubik's Cube, did you ever get into that?
Not really.
Neither did I.
I mean, I had one, and I could never do it,
Yeah.
to be honest.
No,
I
I
mean,
couldn't
I think I managed to fix 2 sides of it out of 6.
Yeah.
But I couldn't actually ever make it work.
The Pokemon, we know about. Your kids
Pokemon,
into
no,
Pokemon?
my kids were into that, yeah.
Yeah, Loom Bands,
Yeah, they were into that as well.
right. Jojo Bows.
That I don't know.
That's that's this year. Schools banned the bright ponytail accessories named after YouTube star Jojo Siwa,
Oh, God.
which brunched rules.
Right.
The Tamagotchi. Children were meant to feed
Tamagotchi, I
and
remember
train the
those,
digital
yeah. I remember
pets.
that. That was like a digital pet. I remember those, yeah.
And then in
That was years ago.
Yeah, years ago. Yeah, 1997. In 1994, the Pogs caused playground fights as children stacked the discs, hit them with a hammer, and
Yeah.
claimed those landing face up. No,
Don't remember those
Something
at
I
all.
know about.
No, I mean, the funny thing is that kids have an ability
Yeah.
to somehow spot these trends, and by the time you read about them in newspapers,
Yeah.
normally speaking, I've had some education by the kids about them, you know, and I don't know where
Yeah,
they come
that's right,
from.
yeah.
'Cause I don't remember when you and I were at school.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being these particular crazes, really.
Right, okay.
Do you?
The crazes one.
I mean,
was
what
it?
crazes
Do you know
did you
what?
have?
The only crazes we had was carrying a football around.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we
remember
used to
that.
have football cards, and we used to
Yeah,
play.
we used to have football
You used to
cards,
put the 2 cards up against the
Yes.
the playground wall,
Yeah.
and you used to flick a card at that to try and knock it down.
Yes.
And if if you were the one that knocked down the card,
Yes.
you got to keep all the ones that were around it.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
that was about all there was.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Do you not remember that?
Yeah, no, I do. I do. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I
I don't think you're listening to me.
am listening
I
to
don't
you.
think you are.
I'm listening to you, but I'm trying to acquire information at all times.
Are
you
you?
see?
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't care about my information that I impart to you.
Yeah, I do.
Some of which is
I do.
very, very valuable.
Yeah.
And of a great value to many people listening to the show.
I'm sure it is.
It is.
Okay.
Coming up, though, we're going to be talking to somebody who's seen the new Alien film, which is apparently horrifying and very, very frightening. So if you've seen it, we'd like to hear from you as
We
well.
certainly
You
would.
can tweet us at
Yeah,
the 2 mics. This
please.
is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics. Porky Quiz time coming up in a little while. But right now, many of you will remember that very frightening music as the music from the original Alien film, which, of course, famously had John Hurt having an alien bursting out of his stomach.
Yeah.
And then it attached
Out of his
itself-
chest, wasn't it?
well, yeah, chest,
Yeah.
stomach,
Yeah.
sort of, general trunk
Yeah.
cavity. And attaching itself all over the place. We had Sigourney Weaver remembering sort of slagging off the mother, trying to kill off the eggs and all of that.
Yeah.
We've now got the new Alien movie, which apparently is even more frightening than anything that anybody's ever seen.
Yeah.
It's called Alien Covenant, and we're going to talk now to Matt Singer, who is, of course, editor-in-chief and film critic at ScreenCrush.com. He's going to tell us what he makes of it, because apparently it is very, very, very hardcore. Matt, very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Matt.
Now, did I over-egg the pudding there, or is it as frightening and scary as a science fiction film as you've ever seen?
It's pretty scary. It's pretty gloppy. If you are not a fan of creatures bursting out of people's bodies,
Yeah.
if that's something that scares you, you will be scared by this movie, because there's quite a bit of creatures bursting out of human beings in Alien Covenant.
Right. Is there ever a case to say, Matt, that when you get a film like Alien, which is so unique and so horrifying to anybody who watched it, it should be left alone, and that any attempt to produce a sequel is, by definition, going to be awful, because all you're trying to do is exceed the scare factor in the first film, and that, in fact, devalues the first film itself?
Well, that's a good question, but the Alien franchise, in a way, is almost the sort of argument against that, is that the first movie is a masterpiece, but then, a few years later, James Cameron came along and made Aliens, which is a very different movie, but it's also fantastic. I think maybe that's the trick, is when you're making a sequel, if you're just going to try to copy the original, that's where you're going to run into problems. If you're able to take the original, find the things that people liked, Sigourney Weaver or the creatures or whatever, and then make your own movie, make a unique twist on it, maybe that's the way to avoid just mindless, horrible repetition.
Okay, I'm reading one report here, one review. It's from the Times in London, and it says that actually, invasive body horror takes on new back-scratching forms, and the traditional alien game of hide and seek on a spaceship as hatches are battened down has an almost parodic quality, particularly in a creepy shower scene.
What you mean as in a parody?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. What do you think about that, Matt?
I didn't think it was over the top or excessively silly. I have to be honest and say that I don't think that Ridley Scott is making, to me, the movies he should be making, the sequels he should be making, are to Blade Runner, not to Alien. Because in both Prometheus and this movie, the best characters are the robots, played by Michael Fassbender. And that's especially true in Alien Covenant. He plays two robots, identical robots, and he has scenes together opposite himself, and he's terrific in it. And all of the most interesting ideas in the movie are about robots and what it means to be an artificial intelligence. So in a weird way, the creatures and the monsters, to me, it almost feels like they're just thrown in there because it's called Alien. It seems to me like the movie that Ridley Scott really wants to make is another Blade Runner. He just hasn't done it.
Right. Yeah. Because I, funnily enough, bizarrely, just by coincidence, not that I had planned to do it, watched Prometheus last weekend. Mike Parry, my broadcasting colleague here, had said to me we should really talk to somebody about this new Alien film because it seems to be, making quite a few waves and people are having lots to say about it. And I had never seen Prometheus when it came out in 2012. I'd never really watched any of the other Alien movies apart from, I think, the first two. And I found Prometheus to be really weird and very strange and quite disturbing in parts, And so the fact that that's then apparently a prequel to the first Alien film, and this new film is a second prequel to the first Alien film, it all starts to get a bit confusing, doesn't it?
Yes. The Prometheus was a prequel, and then this is a sequel to Prometheus, but still a prequel to the original Alien. Right. I think it's set 20 years before the original Alien. To me, from Prometheus, it had beautiful visuals. I mean, Ridley Scott is a fantastic visual director. It looked great. It had Michael Fassbender. It had some cool stuff in it, but it was weird and strange, and the characters made very poor decisions. And by the end of it, it was just people running around and dying in gruesome ways. And to me, that one didn't hold together very well. I feel like this movie is kind of the refined version of Prometheus. It's similar in a lot of ways. But I think it works a little better. And instead of giving you this sort of prequel that doesn't really connect in any significant way to Alien, this one, at least, it's called Alien Covenant. It does have the xenomorph alien in it. You're going to get that sort of stuff if that's what you're specifically going to see. And I think the characters aren't quite so unbelievably stupid as they were in that one. Sometimes they do stupid things. They stick their heads into alien eggs, which never seems like a good idea to me. They go down to planets, where they don't know what's down there, and they don't even wear spacesuits. They make poor choices, but they're not quite as egregiously stupid as the ones in Prometheus.
No, right, okay. Now, just historically, Matt, because you're an expert in this, I also read in researching this film that in the original Alien, when the alien burst out of John Hurt's chest or his body, John Hurt was the only person on the set who knew what was going to happen, and he wasn't allowed to tell anybody else, that the actual alien explosion was made up of offal which had been acquired from a local abattoir, okay? And that extra cameras were put on the set and aimed at the actors who were supporting the piece, and that their reaction, which was completely genuine to this explosion of filth and offal all over the place, was what was used in the film, and it was the most genuine sort of, recording of horror we've ever seen in a horror film.
Genuine horror?
Because it was genuine horror.
I have heard that story. Yes, supposedly they shot that in like one take with a bunch of cameras. They didn't know how like gruesome and graphic and bloody it would be. And you know, if you watch their faces, the actors are getting sprayed with blood.
That's right.
And they had no idea it was coming.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a good point too, because I think something that's missing from these new movies, as beautiful as they are, is, you know, a lot of the aliens and the creatures and the monsters, it's all CGI. And so a lot of this stuff is people acting to nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
When
I see.
the actors were on the set of the Nostromo at Alien, they had something to actually react to. They were being sprayed with blood, and there was a creature jumping out of
exactly.
someone's chest. Like,
which they didn't expect, and nobody had told them was going to happen.
Right, and so that was a visceral, real reaction. And I think something gets lost when you have people just like, okay, now there's a monster over here, pretend like you're scared.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
they're all standing
And that is the problem.
in front of green screens.
Yeah, and that is the problem, isn't it? Because the audience now is too sophisticated. I mean, when you think back to 1979, when the original Alien film was made, I mean, most of the people watching this new one are probably not old enough to remember that. One, two, may never have seen it anyway. And so this whole idea of sort of trying to create, I suppose, what you might call a sort of a legacy type film scenario is mad, isn't it? Because I would imagine, and I'd be guessing, 70%, maybe 80% of the people watching this new Alien film have never seen the first one.
That's a good question, and it's something I've been wondering about when I talk to people, because you know I was born in 1980. I grew up with these movies being sort of the first two Aliens being kind of like amongst the best horror movies that were around when I was a kid, and everyone saw them. And so to me, the name Alien, it means something. It has a lot of cachet. It has value. It has meaning, even though the last couple were not so great. But it's been a long time since there was an Alien movie, and I think you're right. Young people, I would assume a lot of young people haven't seen it. It's now a movie is now over 35 years old.
Right,
so,
exactly.
To me, when I see, Ridley Scott is making an Alien movie, that gets my attention. But whether people are going to turn up at movie theaters for that reason, young people, I don't know. I'm curious to find out. It is a good movie, I think. It's not great. It's not a masterpiece. It's not the original Alien, but it's a pretty worthy sequel. And, so I feel like people who go in are generally going to get their money's worth. They're going to feel satisfied. But will they go out to see it just because it has Alien in the title? That's a good question. We're going to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, given what we're told a lot nowadays, that Netflix and sort of Amazon is the way forward, and that a lot of the talent in Hollywood is moving towards, certainly from the screenwriting side, they're moving towards television and sort of box sets and series and things like that. Is Hollywood sort of trying to play catch up now and trying to be more outrageous and trying to create more sort of dynasty-like sort of chains of films or something?
Yeah, Hollywood is in a tough spot right now because they've got the competition from television has never been, greater. And it seems to me like the thing that they try to do to respond to that is to go really big, bigger movies with big budgets and big special effects, huge spectacles, to sort of drag you off your couch, to get you to look away from your phone for a couple of minutes. And the way to do that is with these crazy things you can't see on television and you've never seen before in your house. But the problem is the movies that they're making are all remakes and sequels and reboots of things you have seen. So in the case of Alien Covenant, it's a good-looking movie. It's a scary movie. It's well-made. But it also is, the 5th, 8th, 100th Alien movie, and you probably, if you are a fan of the series, you've got them all at home on Blu-ray, and your television at home is, in some cases, is as big as, or almost as big as the screen in some of these little movie theaters. So what is the incentive to go to the theater to see something that's sort of like a kind of a inferior copy of something you've already seen or that you already have at home that you can watch anytime you want or you can stream at home? That's the tricky part, is they're sort of almost competing with themselves.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, it's no longer a thing, is it? I mean, when Mr. Parry and I were growing up, going out to the movies was a thing.
Yes.
You went out on a Saturday night, or you went on dates and that
Saturday
sort of thing.
night at the movies.
Well, exactly. I mean, now you don't want to, because you don't want to watch something at somebody else's time frame. You don't want to be charged, some ludicrous amount of money for a bag of popcorn.
You don't want to sit in a theatre with loads of other
people deadbeats that you'd rather not be hanging about with.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
that is the challenge as well, right?
It is, yes, and to me, the big thing with movie theaters is always the people on their cell phone. That drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's like, why are you there?
I recently went to a movie. Somebody was taking pictures of the screen with a flash.
Yeah, mad.
That's mad, isn't it?
In a 3D movie. That was the real kicker. In a 3D movie. So the pictures are going to be dark, blurry. They're not going to come out.
Should have been thrown out.
No one else can enjoy the movie.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
Listen, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Very interesting stuff. Matt Singer there, who's editor-in-chief and film critic at screencrush.com.
Yeah.
I think it's true. I mean, I only now go to the movies with my kids if they particularly want to go and see something, or it's kind of a special treat to take them because they quite enjoy it.
If it's a spectacular, like the new Bond movie, I actually love going to the opening night or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you actually dress up in a suit and tie and all that.
You were supposed to go to some place in Reigate, weren't you?
Yeah, Reigate.
But then you went to the wrong place or something.
I did. I never made it. But,
sad.
I'm saying, I quite enjoy that. And the other thing I enjoy is sometimes when I'm down on the coast and say it's a Friday, and they've got an early showing of a film at 12:20.
Oh, that early?
Before school's broken up or something like that. I will go and watch.
Like midday?
Yeah, midday. Yeah. I will go and watch a terrific film and see it on the big screen, almost in isolation, because there's only like another dozen people in the whole of the cinema. You know what I mean?
Do you get like an old person's discount for that?
No, because I'm not an old person. And I buy a huge bag of sweets, with licorice, all sorts, and everything.
Right. Well, like pick and mix.
Yeah, a huge bag, a huge box. In fact, I'll
20 quid's worth or something.
Yeah, something like that.
That's terrible for your teeth.
And a big Coca. I'll always come out and go and wash my teeth right away. That's absolutely right.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Excellent. What was the last film you watched when you did that then? Because remember you went to see something, American Hustle, and it would turn out you went to see the wrong film.
It would have been
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf out of Wall Street.
Yeah, that's right.
But you ended up seeing American Hustle, I think.
No, I saw that first, and then I realised my mistake. Then I went to see Wolfman.
Okay.
It was good.
Good. This is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
Say live and let die.
Great one here from Steve the cabbie. Because I can see Porky in the cinema with sweets, popcorn and Coke as they watch it burst out of his bladder-rated stomach.
Yeah, well, that's the sort of thing that could obviously happen. But it's quite serene watching a film in... Do
you know, one of my favourite memories of sort of childhood goes back to not so much childhood, but when I was about 13 or 14.
Yes.
And there was a wonderful cinema in Hampstead called the Everyman Cinema.
Right.
And they used to show old movies.
Okay.
Like, old Humphrey Bogart films like The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca and all that. And old sort of gangster films from the 20s and 30s.
You dirty rat.
You dirty rat. Yeah, James Cagney and
You're
all that.
the one who killed my brother.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Old black and white films. And I used to go there at the age of 14 because I think for some reason it was during the time when we were on a 3-day week. And so I had a lot of time to myself.
Yes.
And I used to love going to the cinema in the afternoon on my own and just sitting there watching a film.
That's right, watching the film.
The big sleep. I mean, it's just horrendous.
But you can be taken in by all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, talking about things you see on the screen, right? Now, I know it's not Porky Vision Night and all that, but I have to mention this because we won't have a chance to do it next week.
Because, we're not here next week. A lot of people have been slightly confused, right? Yes. The point is we're doing a show, if I can just explain, we're going to do the warm-up tomorrow with a bonus extra hour. Tomorrow is Saturday.
Yes,
that's Friday, right?
Yeah, no, but most people think this is still Thursday night. That's the point I'm making.
Well, they don't if they're in Australia.
No,
because it's already Friday.
Tomorrow's Saturday, go on.
And if they're listening on the podcast as well, it's definitely already Friday. So Saturday from 11, we're doing a 3-hour show till 2.
We are.
Right? And then we're not going to be back until the following Saturday because we've got various things going on. However, we have, for your delectation, recorded a couple of podcasts, which we will be releasing. We'll tell you how to do that. So follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and we will tell you what's going on. Oh, we're also doing a show on Sunday as well.
We're doing a show on Sunday this week as well, And then
1 till 4, is that?
1 till 4. And then we're on Sky News on Monday morning,
That's
folks.
true.
We are doing the...
Not because of anything we've been doing at the weekend.
No, it's because...
Hopefully not.
We've been asked back to do the paper reviews.
Yeah, because it was such a success the last time.
That's right, 6:30, 7:40, 8:40. Yes. So we're around
There's plenty
and about.
of the two mics. There's no shortage of the two mics. Mics.
We're around until about lunchtime on Monday.
Yeah.
And then we've got a couple of podcasts we're putting out, which actually are a bit of a trailer to our American adventure in September.
That's right.
But they're very entertaining, I can assure you.
Well, let's hope they will be, yeah.
We had a great laugh putting them together.
They're American stories. Tales from America.
Tales from America.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to tell you about this programme that was on last night. It's called King Charles III.
Okay.
And it looks to the future when our dear Queen, that we have now, Queen Elizabeth II,
right,
finally passes away.
Would he be King Charles III?
He would be King Charles III.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't be his fourth.
No. You had Charles I and Charles II.
Okay.
There wasn't a Charles III.
No.
He would be King Charles III.
Okay.
And I tell you what, the guy called Tim Pigott-Brown, who most recently...
Not Tim Pigott-Smith.
Tim Pigott-Smith, that's him. He was most recently in what? What was he in?
Was he not in the Far Pavilions or one of those Indian things?
Yeah, but he was in something... Oh, I know what he was in. What was he in? He was in...
Not the Far Pavilions. What was the other one? The sort of show that was set in India.
Yeah, was it Passage to India?
Not Passage to India, no.
Okay, well, anyway, whatever, the white thing, was it? The white murder or something?
Could be, Not the White Mischief, no.
No,
that was South Africa.
Anyway, he's been good for years.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing he was in, believe it or not.
He must be knocking on a bit now, Tim Pigott-Smith.
Well, this is why he played Charles, because Charles will be over 70.
I suppose he would look like him, yeah.
So, but I'll tell you what he was in. Remember they made a TV series called The Chief? Right.
Not really, no.
Well, they did. And what happened was, he was the original chief, right? And they thought it probably wasn't going that well. So they took him off and put Martin Shaw in.
Okay.
And they revved the whole thing up and had a love affair situation. And my great friend Jenny Seagrove was involved as a barrister,
right, yeah.
And it
like
became successful in the end. But anyway, so he plays King Charles III very well. I mean, you can see his mannerisms of Prince Charles are excellently executed.
Right.
But the plot is utterly ridiculous.
Is it?
So what happens is, the Queen dies, state funeral, all that, Charles takes over. And then the Prime Minister, who is supposed to be, I suppose, David Cameron, I think it was conceived when Cameron was still Prime Minister, is some mealy-mouthed individual, who does his weekly audience with the King.
Right.
Like Mrs. Thatcher used to do with, the Queen.
And I presume every Prime Minister does
every
with the
Prime
Queen,
Minister
right?
has, that's right, yeah. And you're supposed to just sort of tell the King what's going on. Well, Charles has become a lawmaker, not just a sort of an assenter. So, when Master Sign give the royal assent to bills and all that, he's turning them all down. One in particular, and I don't know why they picked on it, maybe it's very topical because of what's happened over recent years, was a bill by the man playing the Prime Minister to curb the powers of the press.
Oh, yeah.
And Charles stands up against this and says, not under any circumstances.
Right.
And the
Good
guy,
for him.
And the guy playing Prime Minister says, but look at the way that they destroyed your life when your first wife died. And he said, why are you invoking Diana's name? What's that got to do with it? And all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the problem is, this goes on for 20 minutes. And it's very dry and dull dialogue between two men.
Actually, technically, that's the sort of thing you should be interested in. So if you don't like it, what's everybody else going to think?
Exactly. And it's in a room full of stately furniture, so it's very royal.
Right.
But the subplot that's going on at the same time is the Harry one. You will have read headlines, it's disgusting. They suggested that Harry might have been the son of, the cad.
Yes, the cad.
James
Hewitt.
James Hewitt.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to let everybody know, that was impossible because James Hewitt didn't even make his first contact with Diana until Prince Harry was 2 years of age.
Right, okay.
So let's get that out.
There was
an
unfortunate sort of resemblance.
It was, but it was ridiculous.
Yes.
And it genealogically, biologically, just couldn't, it's not possible.
Right, okay.
But anyway, what happens is, this is so ludicrous. Harry is in a nightclub on the day of his grandmother's funeral,
right?
The state funeral, because he seemed to be so loose, that he's hanging out with a gang in, some nightclub in Knightsbridge.
Yeah.
And then some
Boogies, probably.
Yeah, maybe. And then some girl comes up who happens to be black,
right?
Because it's a multicultural situation.
Right.
They
it's
make
not
that
meant to
very
be
clear.
Meghan Markle, then.
No, it's not Meghan Markle. No. But I mean, it's meant to show, Harry, being diverse,
down with the kids,
diverse, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But it's so ludicrous because. Harry is portrayed as a man whose life is meaningless and lost, and he's drinking and he's. So she says, "I can see what's wrong with you."
Right.
Then she then takes him home to her council flat.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Council flat.
To her council flat.
Or in Brixton or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's so ludicrous. Where's his security?
Yeah.
You know, where are his guards? All that kind of stuff.
Right.
And somebody knocks on the door next morning and said, "Oh, come on, Harry, you can't, you shouldn't be in here." And all.
Right.
It's just the whole thing's ludicrous.
So,
it was ridiculous.
is it a one-part thing or is it?
It was a one-part thing, lasted 90 minutes.
That's all.
I got into.
It's not down to our mate Ben Frau, is it?
No, it's not. Yeah, I think
Channel
it is. I
5.
think it was Channel 5. I think it was Channel 5. Yeah, I think you're right. Or Channel 4.
Yeah.
It was either Channel 4 or Channel 5, I'm
Okay.
not sure. But it was utter rubbish. I got 20 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And then I started fast-forwarding a bit to say, hang on, does this get better?
Yeah.
It didn't. It got
Doesn't
worse.
get any better.
Rubbish.
I found the answer to what he was in, the Indian thing I was talking about, the Jewel in the Crown.
Jewel in the Crown. That
which
was
was
the one,
terrific.
Yeah.
He was also in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in Escape to Victory. Imagine that.
Was he?
Yeah, apparently.
Good God.
He played Major Rose. He was also in The Vice. He was also in the Inspector Lindley Mysteries. He was also in Spooks.
Yeah.
He was in Gangs of New York. Johnny English. He was
Yeah.
in Pompeii the Last Day.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And Midsummer Murders.
Yeah, so he's done quite a bit.
And
yeah.
a Quantum of Solace, too.
Quantum of Solace,
Yeah.
that's the one I was thinking of. He was an MI6 guy,
He
wasn't
was,
he? That's
absolutely.
right, yeah, that was the one I was
Astonishing
thinking
stuff. Now, coming up in the next hour, we've got the Porky Quiz
Yeah.
and loads more as well.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see that story earlier on today, talking of people who have died? Apparently
Yeah.
Tim Pickett-Smith did in fact die
Yeah, he did,
between
yeah.
filming that show
Yeah.
and it being broadcast.
I know, and do you know
which
what?
is quite weird.
I remember seeing the obit of him in the
Yeah.
Times, so I'm really sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing.
No.
It's just ironic that I apply the guy with great praise and all that, and unfortunately he's not around to hear it.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely
really
right.
sad.
But did you also see that the guy that played Catweasel
Yes.
has also died?
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about him
Yeah.
because I don't remember him that well. He was 93 when he died
That's
today.
right, yeah.
And, even for me, approaching sort of,
Early middle age. Yeah.
I can't quite remember too much about the guy.
Well, his name was Jeffrey Baildon.
Yes.
Right. I remember watching Catweasel. It was one of those weird shows that I didn't particularly watch deliberately.
About a peasant guy lived in a cave or something.
Well, I
wasn't it?
watched it kind of by accident, really.
yeah.
And it was slightly quirky, slightly odd.
Yeah.
But like for example, I don't know if you ever saw. Do you remember that show called Cadfael?
No, I like Cadfael.
I liked that.
That was about a priest who went and
He
solved
was
a
like
load of murders in the Middle Ages.
It was very good.
He was very good.
It was very good. But unlike that,
Derek Jacobi.
Derek Jacobi, one of the great Shakespearean actors
That's right.
of our generation, right?
That's right, yeah.
But this guy
Yeah.
played a part of a character who was a bit of a sort of a misfit,
Yeah.
and wasn't anywhere near as good as Cadfael, right?
Yeah.
He also apparently played the Crow Man in Wurzel Gummidge. I don't remember that at all.
I got called, what was this guy's name? Wurzel Gummidge. No.
This guy, Catweasel.
I got called Catweasel.
Did you?
In my sort of teenage years
Did
because
you?
my sort of abundance of red hair and all that.
But
I mean,
he didn't. He had sort of white hair though and a white beard.
well, I don't know why people did. The Catweasel fan club last night called the death of star Jeffrey Baildon utterly heartbreaking.
Right.
Jeffrey played the eccentric wizard in the 1970 kids show. He died on Wednesday, 93. He was born in Leeds in 1924.
Leeds.
Yeah, and you're right. He was known for his role as the Crowman in Wurzel Gummidge
Yeah.
and for portraying TV's Magic Grandad in the 1990s.
Yeah, he was also in Z-Cars, apparently.
Yeah.
Heartbeat, Casualty, and more interesting than that, he played Q in the Casino Royale film in 1967.
Did he?
Was that the one that George Lazenby was in?
No, it was the Rogue one that David Niven was in.
Oh, was it David Niven?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
It was, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, the George Lazenby one was a rogue one in a way as well.
No, it wasn't. No, George Lazenby was the Bond.
As in Cubby Broccoli's
yeah,
choice.
yeah. It was the Bond franchise, but it was just that Sean Connery had left.
Yeah, he did
But
one.
there wasn't anything daft about it.
Oh,
It says here that old Catweasel twice turned down the offer to become Doctor Who.
Uh-huh.
He said, I've been playing an old man, I didn't want any more. In recent years, he appeared in TV shows including New Tricks and My Family. The fan club, he had a 1,500 member fan club. Now, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Have we got a fan club?
We have a fan club sort of loosely based on the website. If you go to the twomics.co.uk, we do have a fan club.
Well, we should have an official fan club, shouldn't we?
Well, I mean, we've got people who have got unofficial fan clubs that sort of, send out things for people that like listening
Are
to
we
what
still
we talk about.
planning a Two Mics fan club convention later this year?
I don't think later this year because I don't think there's going to be time. But
Why
I think,
not? There's plenty of the year left.
Well, not really.
It would be a great Christmas get-together for our
Well, you know,
people.
there are lots of things that we've been thinking about.
Yeah.
In fact, I've been in talks with people about all sorts of things. There's
Yes.
been one suggestion, right, and I haven't even had a chance to put this to you,
Right.
because we haven't had much time together recently.
Right. Thank
one,
God.
One, yeah, I know it's been great
Yeah.
for me as well.
Yeah.
One suggestion has been that we
Yes.
could have a New Year's Eve party, a bit like Jules Holland. You know, Jules Holland does
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know, the hoop
Yeah.
manet or whatever
Yeah,
they call it.
yeah.
that we could do something similar.
Well,
My worry
only
about that is that you wouldn't be able to stand the pace.
Well, I never go out on New Year's Eve anyway. I think it's for the amateurs.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have to go anywhere. You just have to go to one place.
To the convention.
And it wouldn't be the convention, but it would be maybe a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
And people would come to it.
Okay.
We would do a little show, and then we'd have the countdown to midnight.
Okay.
Do a bit more drinking and then disappear off.
Would somebody pay me a lot of dosh to do this?
I think that would be the plan, yeah.
That would be the plan, yeah, okay. Well, I've got to consider that one.
As long as you get paid a load of dosh, you'll be quite happy to do it.
Well,
or maybe somebody would hand you off a couple of, gaming machines that you could take home.
That's right, yeah.
And forge another, small business.
Yeah.
But, there is a plan afoot to do a convention.
Yes, okay.
But I think it's going to take... It takes quite a lot of organisation for this stuff,
Well, we'd just pay somebody to organise it. You know what I mean?
say that, but, you can't just expect it all to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to take all the organisation we can muster
Right,
to
okay.
organise the New York trip.
Yeah, true.
Because there's a lot to do. And
There's an awful lot to do.
Before you know where we are, right, it's going to be June.
Yes.
And then the whole of June, we're going to be working on the mid-morning show.
Yes, that's right.
Plus, we're working on Saturday. We have no time to do anything on Saturday.
That's
that
right,
will make
yeah.
it July.
Yeah,
Suddenly
yeah.
it'll be July.
Yeah.
Then it'll be like the football season starts again. I've got probably at some point or other to
Yes.
take my kids away somewhere for a week or so. I don't know. So then it'll be
Right.
September. Then it'll be New York.
Yeah.
And then it'll be October. And there's no time.
Yeah.
There's just no time.
Well, as long as you get the New York thing
We're also
right,
hoping-
I'll,
We're also hoping to do a show in London
that's right.
at some point.
Oh, we are doing a show in London.
In November, if we
November
can.
or December, that'll
Yeah.
be. Okay, yeah. But
Which also needs to be organised and needs to be sorted out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do.
Right, now you often have a go at me for reading my journals, okay?
Not at all.
Yeah, so let me tell you
I
this.
just sometimes ask you whether your journals are indeed as reliable a source of information as you say
Right,
they are.
Let me tell you, and sometimes you say that you think there's a darker side to me and all that. I'm going to give you some evidence now of
darker
the
side?
fact that I'm a better person than you, okay?
Why would you want to be a better person than me?
Well, I would always want to be
not
a
a
better person
competition.
than you. Right, now...
Well, you'll never be able to
a
do
new
that.
research campaign, right, has told the British Psychological Society conference in Brighton today, right,
Yes.
that people who read books are nicer than people who don't read books
Right.
and journals. They stress books and journals, right?
What, you mean books and journals are better people?
Yeah, but people who read books and journals
Well,
make
what's the
somebody...
definition of a journal?
It could be anything that's a mass of, thousands of words.
So a magazine wouldn't count.
No, a magazine wouldn't count.
A
No, that-
newspaper wouldn't count.
No, it have to be a journal. It have to be a study of something.
Right.
Like essays from universities and that kind of stuff.
Right, but
okay?
you don't read any of those.
Yeah, I do.
No,
I
you
do.
don't. Rubbish.
No, I do. It says readers are more likely to act in a socially acceptable manner, while those who preferred watching television or sticking to their computer screens will always come across as less friendly and less understanding of others' views.
Really?
Yes.
Because everybody knows that you're, one, incredibly unfriendly and also very, very uninterested in anybody else's view.
Reading...
So if you're reading books and journals,
Yeah.
you're clearly not getting the benefit that they're suggesting you should have.
Reading, it has been proven, actually makes you a kinder, more empathetic person, this study has found.
Really?
Readers of drama and romance novels were empathetic, while lovers of experimental books and
Yeah.
those who read journals showed the ability to see things from different perspectives.
but you don't
See,
know.
this gives me a much broader view
No,
on
it
life
doesn't.
than you.
No, that's not true. Everybody who listens to this show knows there are two universal truths, right?
Yep.
You are only interested in anything that has to do with you. You're not interested in anything that has to do with anybody else,
Yes.
unless you can put yourself at the centre of it.
Yes.
And you are very, very antisocial.
Yes.
You don't like people.
No, this is
By
all
your own
untrue.
admission.
Now, this is a research study done at Kingston University, which is a
Kingston?
fine university, Kingston, yes.
Kingston, Ontario.
No, you idiot. Kingston University, London.
Kingston, London.
Kingston, yeah, the place on the edge of the River Thames.
Well, it's not
there.
really in London, is it? Kingston. Kingston's south of London, isn't it?
No, Kingston is south of London, but it has a facility in the city, okay?
Yes, Kingston Poly.
No, Kingston University.
All right.
Now, they were then tested on interpersonal skills, such as how much they considered people's feelings and whether they acted to help others.
Yes.
Those 123 people who agreed to take part
You
in
don't
the study.
take, yeah, but you don't take any account of other people's feelings.
Eh?
You don't take any account of other people's feelings.
I do all the
You
time.
barely take any account of me. I mean, the fact that I sit opposite you
Yes.
for most of your life, for 6 days of the week,
Yes.
about 6 feet away from you,
Yes.
you couldn't care less about what I tell you, what I say. You can't wait to get on to the next part of the show when you say something.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
When
You've
did
just
you...
done it again.
No, I'm taking
Yeah.
everything in you said because
Yeah.
I'm asking you a question response.
All
When
right.
did you last read a novel?
When did I last read a novel? I would say I've not read a novel for probably about 5 or 6 years.
Well, you see, this is it. Comedy fans scored the highest for relating to others when they read comedy books.
Uh-huh.
The study suggested reading allows people to see different
oh, actually,
points
no, I
of
tell you a
view.
lie. I read a novel when I went to Mexico. When did I go to Mexico?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
The study suggested reading allows people to see different points of view, enabling them to understand others better. The researchers added, exposure to fiction relates to a range of empathic abilities. Okay?
I get exposed to fiction every night when you start telling your stories.
I'll ignore that. Engaging with fictional prose and comedy, in particular, could be key to enhancing people's empathic abilities.
Empathetic.
No, empathic.
Empathic.
It's a word.
Is it?
Empathic,
Okay.
yeah. However, authors warned that the study did not prove cause and effect. It could be that...
So it's a lot of rubbish then.
No. It could be that reading causes positive behaviour.
Yeah, it could be.
Or it could be that thoughtful, well-mannered people are more likely to prefer reading. So it's a bit of a what came first, the chicken or the egg situation.
So
Okay?
it doesn't prove anything as usual.
You see,
It's
I
more
read
rubbish.
novels.
You don't. What was the last novel you read?
The Pillars of the Earth.
That's the only novel you ever read.
Sorry?
When did you read it?
Well, I still read bits of it because it was so
Bits?
good. Yes.
What's the story?
It's about it's the medieval story of lust and power.
Really?
In the church.
The medieval story of lust and power.
In the church.
What's the name of the chief character?
Chief character?
Yeah.
I think it's Edwin.
Edwin?
I think it's Edwin.
Edwin Starr?
No, Edwin Starr, you idiot. He was a rock singer. War! Oh, what is it good for? That was Edwin Starr, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Whoa! I haven't read this book at all. I'm just pretending.
Whoa!
Whoa! This is Talk Sport. Coming up very soon, it's time for the Porky Quiz. I've got a couple of quick announcements to make, by the way. This song, of course, by Alice Cooper, heralds our little chat we're going to have about the election.
Yes.
Which is not terribly interesting today.
No.
But we've just got to do a few bits of housekeeping because we've been told by our producer that we haven't been fair to some of the other parties,
That's
like the Greens and the Lib Dems and UKIP.
Yes,
so we're going to be fair to them.
Yeah.
But how about this? Lady Laura sent in a tweet that says, is there any chance you could wish my fiancé, and it says Les Rob. I'm not sure if that's right. A very happy birthday, please.
Yeah.
Les Rob.
Yeah, it says how old he is.
Well, it doesn't say.
Right, birthday. Les Rob. Have a happy birthday, pal.
Yeah.
Not sure what age you are, but whatever age it is, it's a great age.
But he's very lucky because he's got Lady Laura as his fiancée, so that can't be bad.
Yeah, it can't be bad
And
at
also, the Verminator, who doesn't give his name, but says, hi, gents, could you wish my lovely daughter Ellie a happy 17th birthday?
Yeah.
She's also doing her A-levels.
Right. Ellie?
And that's him with his daughter. Isn't that a nice picture?
Oh, lovely picture. Ellie, have a great 17th birthday.
Yes.
Don't let it get in the way of your studies, because remember, one birthday celebration is okay, but providing you get your studies out the way and you become a great person in life, every birthday will be a bonanza birthday in the future.
Bonanza.
Yeah, concentrate on your A-levels because they're very important.
They are very important, yeah. Now,
the
the big story of the day today, or in the last 24 hours in terms of the papers this morning, is obviously this ridiculous situation where Jeremy Corbyn managed to run over, or the car that he was in managed to run over a BBC cameraman.
Well, I thought the cameraman was too close to the car.
He was, wasn't he?
He was crushed right in. It's not like... You know, years ago, when the prison van came out of the Old Bailey and the Yorkshire Ripper was in it, right, after being found guilty of 13 murders, a lad called John Rogers, who was a young photographer trying to make his way, rushed up to the van and just held his camera up to the window of the first 3 window portholes that those vans have.
And you see them
flashed on each one.
Right.
But I'd never seen it before. And I was outside the Bailey that day.
Right.
I'd never seen it before. And we got back to the Daily Express darkroom, picture desk, and lo and behold, he came out with a picture of the Ripper, a profile of the Ripper,
inside the
inside the van.
The Mariah.
It was used on the front page, and it was a worldwide exclusive picture.
Right. And after that, I mean, I wasn't suggesting that the probably people have done it before. He may have been one of the first to do it, but that's now what people do when they see they run down the road. But what's interesting is the way that some people have treated this story, like the Daily Mirror, for example, which you would generally regard as a Labour supporting paper. We're not sure whether they're a Corbyn supporting paper, but I think they've missed a trick because, as you were saying quite rightly, this BBC cameraman is a bit of a plank for getting us close. I mean, it's not as if he's taking a picture of somebody who's not available.
No.
It's not as if he's going to get...
chasing somebody who won't be back tomorrow.
Like the Ripper, or somebody that you haven't seen, like Michael Jackson,
That's right.
who's been a recluse for 20 years, or Howard Hughes or somebody.
Yeah.
He's taking a picture of the guy who's out campaigning, where he could have got the picture any time he wanted.
That's right. And also, I thought he made far too much of it afterwards, right? Because when you do that, I'm afraid it's one of those battle scars you get when you're in the scrum and the fight that is that sort of journalism.
Yeah.
And if you get hurt, then go away and get repaired. But to have pictures of him in a wheelchair with a belt around him and a blanket wrapped around him, why has he got a blanket wrapped around him? Because a car ran over his toe.
I know.
Rubbish.
And everyone's saying, poor old Jeremy Corbyn can't get anything right.
Yeah.
I think they've been a bit hard on Jeremy Corbyn, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I think, good on you.
He wasn't even driving.
Well, of course he wasn't.
So it wasn't his fault.
No. Let's talk about the Green Party now, right? Because we have to.
Well,
because according to Ofcom rules, we have to be fair to all the parties,
never mind the Ofcom rules. Let's be fair anyway, because
Yeah.
if the Green Party are saying we're going to introduce new laws to protect Britain's nature, wildlife and countryside, I'm saying, OK, I'll have a bit of that, thank you. Yeah.
Well, but they're not going to win, are they?
Well,
doesn't matter what they say they're going to do.
What I'm saying is I'm supportive of anybody who is floating the idea of trying to help, God's own creatures, nature, preserve the countryside.
They say they're going to end plastic waste. You've been a man that has previously said that you're going to try and stop these beads from going into the ocean and killing off fish and all that kind of thing.
Yes, that's right.
So maybe you should hook up with Caroline Lucas,
and
who says she wants to end the plastic waste nightmare.
And plastic bottles all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to do something about it. And, I have to say that I will listen to any politician who's floating a policy
Very
like
good.
that.
See what you did there. I like that. Floating.
Floating.
Yeah, floating plastic beads. Exactly. But, of course, Caroline Lucas, who is the only Green MP in Britain.
Yeah, is she Birmingham?
Brighton, that's right.
Yeah, Brighton.
Of course she would say this. I mean, if you're the Green Party, what else are you going to say?
Well,
you're not going to say, I would like to hear a bit more from them, actually, about what they're going to do about congestion charging and all that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other party that we have to mention are the Lib Dems.
Yes.
Our friend Tim Farron, you might remember when we did the overnight American election special.
He came on.
Which we won an award for, by the way.
We did.
He came on and said, I think we
we'll
should
have
another referendum.
Yeah, what are you talking about the referendum for? It's American election night, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. But he wants another referendum.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
apparently, there's quite a few Lib Dems who are trying to work out how to beat the Tories. Because the problem for the Lib Dems all over Britain, as you know very well, is that they've got quite a few voters, but they haven't got any of them concentrated in constituencies particularly. So they'll come second in loads of places, but they'll never actually get elected.
Aren't they going into tactical voting now?
Well, that's what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? Up in Bury North, apparently, right? The Lib Dem candidate says vote Labour instead, because that will keep the Tories out.
Yeah.
But that's a very dangerous old game, that, isn't it?
Well, apparently this guy, Mr. Baum, his name is Richard Baum.
Boom.
He goes on to BBC Radio Manchester and says, I will take no part in campaigning in Bury. The Liberal Democrats have target seats.
Man.
And that's where the Liberal Democrats will be campaigning. So basically he's given up on a load of seats and they're just going to concentrate on the others.
Yeah, there's no point in that, is there? Now, what about the UKIP? Because UKIP are a strange organisation. Nigel Farage, of course, was the leader. Then he wasn't the leader. Then he was the leader again.
He does a radio show now,
Then he wasn't the leader. Now he does a radio show.
Yeah.
He apparently is going to step down from his role in Europe.
Yeah.
And the guy that they've put in charge, Nuttall, Paul Nuttall.
Yeah, it's a very apt name, though.
He's
isn't
now
it,
more
really?
famous.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
You shouldn't, no, because that would be unfair.
Exactly.
And obviously, we'd have to chastise you on under the Ofcom rules for
right.
giving any kind of opinion. Because we're not allowed to give an opinion.
I'm not giving any opinion.
All we're allowed to do is tell you what we think is happening, and we're also allowed to tell you that these are the manifesto pledges.
Yes.
But what we're not allowed to do is tell you which way to vote. We'd
Yeah.
never tell you what to do there.
No.
But this guy Nuttall is famous for inventing stories, isn't he?
Well...
Is that not true?
I think most politicians have a very strange relationship with the factual truth.
That's true.
And I think on this particular occasion, he stitched together things in his life which were sort of maybe partially there, but not quite.
Well, he attached himself to the Hillsborough scenario, didn't he?
Well, that was a bit
in a
of
very odd way.
That was a bit of an unfortunate
which
thing
he then
to get
turned out
involved in.
to have to then deny.
Yeah.
But according to UKIP, they say that they are not going to stand against pro-Brexit Tories in key marginal seats.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, he is running, Nuttall, in the seat, I believe I'm right in saying,
Yeah.
was the hardest Brexit voting constituency. Of course,
Yes.
but we don't know whether he's going to have any luck there because, it's very difficult to know.
What they're saying, really, old UKIP, I think, their general message is that they believe that they should be given more credit for changing the will and the voting intentions of the British people.
Yeah.
And as such, they have made a withdrawal from certain constituencies because they believe they've got what they want, and that is a greater examination of the responsibilities of our country in Europe or out of Europe.
No, exactly right. And what about the SNP? Nicola Sturgeon been saying?
Yeah, well, you see, I think Scotland's exciting because the lady who runs it up there for the Tories is called Ruth Davidson, okay? And, the Tories were all dead and buried and gone in Scotland. And she came along and took charge.
Yes.
And there's no doubt about it. She's running a robust sort of campaign.
Well, they're the second biggest party in Scotland now.
That's right. And it's set politics in Scotland on fire again because the SNP leader, Nicola Sturgeon, was kind of walking away with a monopolistic view of life, wasn't she, up there? And it's good that there's some opposition.
Well, now she's saying that the Conservatives are poisoning the well, and you always know if the SNP are starting to accuse other parties of doing something wrong, then they must be slightly frightened of them. I mean, there are those who think that the SNP will do slightly less well in the general elections. They did brilliantly in the last one, but they got 56 MPs into Westminster, which a lot of people thought was a bit weird. They may not do that well this time around, but...
Well, they may do less well because of the reactivity of the Tories up there. And
also because of the whole independence argument.
Well, exactly. The growing realisation that every time the political landscape shifts in the rest of the United Kingdom, then the position that Scotland have to either find themselves in or try and position themselves in changes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Anyway, so that's our thoughts for the day on the election scenario.
It certainly is.
As I say, we are very much bound by the rules. We are very much straight-jacketed by what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. We can't tell you which way to vote.
No.
We can't tell you what our preferences are.
No.
But we can tell you about people getting run over by various members of various political parties.
That's right.
When it happens. And other bits of news, should you care to know about them. Because we believe in informing you at the very least.
Yes,
do we
that's
not?
right, yeah.
Now, coming up, it's going to be time for the Porky Quiz. So we're going to need to get our hands on the Trivial Pursuit questions, and we're going to be broadcasting it live on Facebook as well. This is TalkSport. Like we should have lights going off and things getting darker and lighter. I'm just in the midst because you were ordering me.
What's just come in?
Well, you ordered me to do it. Dave Levine just walked in with some Trivial Pursuit questions.
Well, hang on. Where's the actual box that they were in? Because there's a board in it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I want to know.
You want all that?
Yeah.
These are all sealed. Look. These are all sealed.
I don't know where they've come from.
You don't know where they've come from?
No, I want to see.
Well, I don't know where they've come from either.
Game.
These are all sealed. I mean, we're not working like Dynamo.
They could have come direct from a Trivial Pursuit factory or something.
Well, just take a look at those, right?
I'm not.
Take a look at those.
All right.
While
so they're
I send
sealed,
out, they're all sealed.
They're only genuine if they come out of a Trivial Pursuit box. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Now this is better.
Well, why do you need the box?
Let me look at the box.
Why do you need the box? Watch the Porky Quiz live on Facebook, by the way. It's going out right now on the Two Mics Twitter account. Okay?
All right, this is Trivial Pursuit.
Are you happy now?
That's Trivial Pursuit.
Are you happy? Would you like to choose one of those particular sealed cards?
Right.
Or groups of cards. Just pick one, right? I will open it in front of the audience.
Okay. Well, how many are there in each one?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, they've all got, one set of questions, right? And
that one.
You want that one? All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, do you mind passing me the rest? So that
no, I'm keeping the rest, so you can't swap them.
Well, I'll put them further away from you, so you can't look at them. Right now, I'm going to open these, right?
Yeah.
As best I can, as quickly as I can.
Come on, let's get on with it.
Called Trivial Pursuit.
I've got all night, you know.
No, I know we haven't got all night. Now here we are. Now I've opened them. Okay. Would you like me to shuffle them?
No, I wouldn't.
These are the questions here, right?
No.
I have them here.
Right.
Now, there are, as you know...
Now, you give me the colours.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colours, right?
Yeah, okay.
First colour is blue.
Blue. I'm writing these in shorthand, by the way.
Write them in shorthand, yes.
Still do shorthand, you know.
Second colour is magenta.
Magenta.
Okay.
Yes.
The third colour is yellow.
Yellow.
And you'll be asking 2 questions from each. The fourth colour is purple.
Purple.
Okay. The fifth colour is green.
Green.
And the final colour is orange.
Orange.
Orange, right? As in William of Orange.
Yes.
Now, you will be able to ask for any one of those colours.
Yes.
You can choose, but you only have 2 from each.
Yes.
So there will be 12 questions.
Yes.
Which will have yes or correct or incorrect answers, all right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you get one correct,
yes,
I think I'm right in saying you will hear a sound which will be not dissimilar to this, if it's right.
Right. I can't hear anything.
Yeah, bearded weirdo. Okay. If you get one incorrect...
Sorry, that's if I get it right.
That's if you get it right.
So I get it right and I'm insulted and called a bearded weirdo.
Apparently. If you get it wrong, here's what you get.
I feel like a bum. Yeah.
There you go.
I see. So
I don't have any role in
2
that.
negatives, whether I get it right or wrong, they're negatives against me.
That's to do with the production team.
You know, that is just typical. That is typical of the atmosphere around here.
Is that
when
right?
These sort of things happen.
Okay.
You do anything to try and intimidate me. Let's get on with it.
Well, should we just get on with it? Which colour would you like to choose first?
Blue.
Blue. Okay, what Himalayan country is called Land of the Thunder Dragon by its inhabitants?
Why are you laughing?
Because that's an impossible question.
No, it's not.
You know the answer, do you?
Himalayan country.
Yeah.
Right, I'll tell you what this is. Thinking aloud here. Right?
Land of the Thunder Dragon.
Yeah, right. Right, I'm thinking aloud. There are 2 possibilities here. One is Nepal, and the other one is Bhutan.
Okay.
Okay, now as Nepal is very, very well known, I've never heard it called Land of the Thunder Dragon, I'm going to go for Bhutan.
Correct.
Hooray!
Weirdo. Very well done.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, next colour, please.
Yes. The next colour, well, I'll go for orange, please.
Orange.
Yes.
Okay. Hang on. That's a picture one, so I'm not going to use that one because it asks you to look at a picture.
Okay.
What is both a weightlifting move and a word for a foolish person?
A weightlifting move and a foolish person. Now
That's
I'm thinking
easy,
aloud
that.
here, and I'm thinking snatch because that is a that is a weightlifting move, right? I don't know what your problem is. And if you call somebody a snatch, I don't know if you're calling them a fool or maybe you call them something else. So it's probably not snatch.
It may not be that. Could be.
So the grab. There's the grab, isn't there? There's the snatch, there's the grab, there's the weightlifting move and a fool. So I'm trying to think what a fool called. Dope, juice head. That's not a moron. There's not a moron, is there? Give us the moron. You know what I mean, or something.
It's not an Olympic term, I don't think. No.
So it's.
I'll have to hurry you.
It's a weightlifting move.
Yes.
And a foolish person.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm going to have to call it a dopey.
Incorrect.
No, I feel like a bum.
You are going to feel very stupid now because the word is one you use quite a lot about me. Jerk.
Jerk. Yeah. Jerk.
Okay. Next colour.
Right, next colour will be purple.
Purple. Okay. What character did Bob Kane and Bill Finger create because their boss wanted to match the popularity of Superman?
That would be undoubtedly to match the popularity of Superman. So a superhero.
Yeah.
Thinking aloud here, it's either Spider-Man or it's Batman. Batman was the grey... Yeah, it's Batman.
Batman is correct.
Hooray! Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Yeah,
ooh,
bearded weirdo. So that's 2 out of 3, not bad. Question number 4, what colour, please?
We will now go to yellow.
Yellow, okay. I'm just marking these down as we go.
Okay.
Here we go. What rock band shares its name with the man whose assassination helped spark World War I?
World War One. Okay, I know this. I've got this. I've got it in my head. I don't even have to think aloud.
Okay.
Kaiser.
Incorrect.
No, Kaiser
You
Chiefs
complete wally.
and Kaiser Bill.
No.
I feel like a bum.
The Kaiser's assassination didn't cause World War One.
It
was
did.
Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah, he was a Kaiser.
No, he was Franz Ferdinand.
He was Kaiser Franz.
No, it was Franz Ferdinand. It's the name of the band.
He was Kaiser
No,
Franz.
you got it wrong. You should have got that one right.
Rubbish.
Question number 5. What colour, please?
Green.
Green, okay. Question number 5, green. What process does milk undergo in becoming yoghurt? Is it a bacterial fermentation, mould growth, or molecular synthesis?
It's thinking aloud here. I think it's the bacterial one. You see, that's thrown me a bit because this is a multiple choice question now you've got
Yes.
into. Right?
Well, all I'm telling you is what it says on the card. I'm reading these out. I have no control over them.
What are the two other options, please?
You have bacterial fermentation, mould growth, or molecular synthesis.
Right, I'm going to go for bacterial fermentation.
Correct.
Hooray!
Bearded weirdo.
God, I'm in terrific form.
Right, that is 3 out of 5. Next question, colour, please.
It has to be magenta.
Magenta. So you're going in order, are you?
Complete the cycle of colours. Yeah.
Which band's debut album was titled Three Imaginary Boys?
Three Imaginary Boys.
I know this one.
Three Imaginary Boys. Well, of course you know it because you got the answer.
No, but I knew it before I looked at the answer.
Three Imaginary Boys.
Blancos.
I think that could be something. Now I'm thinking aloud here. Is this some time ago? Is it some time ago?
I can't give you any clues.
So it could be. I'm thinking aloud. It could be Yes, or it could be Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or it could be Cream. There were three. There were three of them. Thinking aloud. Thinking aloud.
I can't help you.
I'm going to go for Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Incorrect.
No, I feel like a bum.
It was in fact The Cure.
The Cure.
Yeah, The Cure. Three Imaginary Boys. Killing an Arab, all that sort of stuff. Very good. Right, next question, number 7, please. What colour?
We're going to go back to blue.
Back to blue, okay.
Not back to black, back to blue.
Okay, next question is this. What is the traditional grain used in tabbouleh?
Tabbouleh?
Tabbouleh.
What's tabbouleh?
Tabbouleh is a food stuff.
Well, that's obvious. What sort of food stuff?
Well, I can't give you a clue. If you don't know what tabbouleh is, I'm not allowed to tell you, because if I tell you what it is, you might then be able to guess what's in it.
So you want to know what the... No, I'm thinking aloud.
The traditional grain used in tabbouleh.
It's either corn...
I can tell you it's a sort of Middle Eastern dish.
Middle Eastern dish.
Yeah.
It's either corn or rye or rice. Did you say crop? What crop?
I said what traditional grain.
Grain.
Yeah.
Is rice a grain?
I can't give you any clues.
No, I just want to know as a definition.
Well, I can't
is
tell
rice
you
a
that.
grain?
It's not my business. I think it is, yes.
Right, so that's...
But I don't think that's the answer.
You don't think that's the answer?
I
That's
don't think
good steer. Right, so it's
I don't.
corn.
You see, this is how you work. You try and trick me into giving you information.
No. Corn. Well, you just said I don't think it's the answer, so I'm taking that as it's not rice.
Yeah.
Right, it's corn or rye or wheat. So I'm going to say wheat.
Incorrect.
No, I feel like a bum.
It is in fact bulgur.
I've never heard of
Bulgur. Bulgur. Yeah.
Bulgur.
Yeah, well, it's great. Right. Question number 8. Colour, please.
That's going to be orange.
Orange. Okay. You're going in the same order.
Yes.
Okay. What is both a type of moustache and part of a bike? That's great. What a great question.
All right, I know the answer to this one. Don't even have to think aloud.
Yeah.
Handlebar.
Very good.
Hooray!
Bearded weirdo. All right, you've now got 4 out of 8.
I know, it's brilliant.
Right, so it's working well.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you would do. Right, now, next colour, please.
Yes. Next colour, we'll go, I'll tell you, take a green. Please.
Green.
Yes.
Okay. Which bird can urinate and defecate separately? A kingfisher, an ostrich, or a penguin?
Like I care.
That's a horrible question.
It's a horrible question.
Shocking.
What are the 3 birds?
Kingfisher, ostrich, or penguin?
Dear.
Why is that even a thing?
Oh, no idea.
I mean, can't everything do that?
No, I'm going to have to go for... It's a mad guess because I want to get rid of this question.
Yeah.
It revolts me. Ostrich.
Ostrich is correct.
Oh, God.
Bearded weirdo. So you've now got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 9.
Over 50%.
Very good. Now, next colour, please. You've got 3 more to go.
Yeah, next colour will be magenta.
Magenta, okay. Here's one which says, which R&B singer and Grammy winner adopted a stage name inspired by the instrument she plays?
Just very quickly again, please.
Which R&B singer and Grammy winner adopted a stage name, inspired by the instrument she plays?
Right, so if she plays like the ukulele, she'd be known as Yuki or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So the instrument she
I don't think that's the answer, by the way.
What can you play on the stage? Guitar, trumpet, rhythm and blues. They what sort of instruments do they play? They play like violins and things. No, they don't. No, rhythm and blues. I'd have to say that will be. What do rhythm and blues do? They play drums.
Harmonica.
Drums. No, you idiot. I would say her name is Banjo.
Banjo?
Yeah.
Well, as in Banjo Patterson?
Yes.
No, incorrect.
No.
It's Alicia Keys.
Keys?
Who was born Alicia Aguelo Cook.
So the keys is the keyboard.
Keys is like the piano, yeah. Or the piano, as some people would say.
Rubbish.
Yeah.
Right,
Next
purple,
question.
Purple, please,
okay. Let's see. Who is the first monster killed by Beowulf?
Beowulf?
Yeah.
First monster?
Yeah.
Do you want the name of the monster or the type of monster?
No, I want the name of the monster.
Beowulf.
It's not Snatch.
Beowulf. I reckon it was... I'm thinking aloud here. Beowulf. Now, Beowulf was he kind of Nordic? Huh? Was he?
I can't give you any clues about that.
So he would have killed a bear. It was Gargarian.
What?
Gargarian.
Incorrect.
I feel like a bum.
It is in fact Grendel. The warrior also
See,
kills
I knew it was something
Grendel's
like that.
mother when she comes looking for revenge.
See, so
nothing
close.
like it.
So
All right,
close.
final question. I think it has to be yellow.
It is yellow.
Okay, question number 12. How many men perished when Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance was stranded in Antarctica?
Yes, how many men?
How many men?
Thinking aloud here. Now, Ernest Shackleton. Now, this wasn't... I'm going outside now, maybe some time. That was Captain Oates, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
I can't help you any more than that, though.
I think the number of men who perished with him on that ice floe, whose bodies were preserved forever in ice and are still there, was... Total number you want?
Total number.
Thinking aloud, it's either 8,
I
10
might
or
give
12.
you sort of, one either side or something.
Okay, I believe it to have been altogether 12.
Incorrect.
No!
It was
I feel like a bum.
0, believe it or not.
What?
All 28 members of the 1914 to 1916 expedition were eventually rescued.
Well, that's a stupid trick question,
Well,
then.
it's not a trick question.
What's a trick question?
It's the question I've got on this card, which I have here.
Hang on. You then said, I'll give you some lateral if you get close.
Yeah.
How can you get close to 0, 0, 0?
Well, you might have said 1.
No, rubbish.
If you'd said 1, you would have been near enough to 0. I would have given you it.
Forget it.
Unfortunately, you didn't get it right. So you have a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
No, 5.
No, I count 6.
5 out of 12.
No, 6.
No, you got right. Question 1, question 3, question 5, question 8, and question 9.
Well, that was a stupid question
That's
about
5
the
out
wrestling.
of 12.
The grip.
That's even worse than I thought you'd do. That's less than 50%.
What was it? The grip was the
The
one I
jerk.
got wrong.
You should have known the jerk. Not the snatch. 5 out of 12.
Well, that's pretty good.
Pretty awful.
5 is pretty good.
Now, if you wish, don't forget, this was broadcast live on Facebook.
Yeah.
It will now be closed down, but if you didn't manage to watch it, you can go to Facebook now. The link is on Twitter, and you can watch it again.
Yeah.
There was no cheating involved in that quiz by me or by Porky.
How do I know?
Because, these were sealed questions. I was reading from them.
Yeah, but you've got loads of cards there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you look at one, you think that the answer's not hard enough, I'll just shuffle it and get another
No,
one. You said
incorrect.
you wanted to shuffle the pack.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't allowed to shuffle the pack. You told me I couldn't shuffle it.
Yeah, I'm very suspicious.
That was the Porky Quiz. Watch it back. Watch the video. You'll be able to see that I did absolutely everything above board, and you can watch me as I do it. This is Talk Sport.
I feel like a bum.
What is both a weightlifting move and a word for a foolish person?
A weightlifting move and a foolish person. Now,
That's
I'm thinking
easy,
aloud
that.
here, and I'm thinking snatch.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
Snatch.
Way out in the waters, you're swimming.
Snatch. Snatch.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. I've got some very, very complimentary tweets here for you.
Oh,
One
yes.
from William.
Yes.
Considering some of the questions were weird in the extreme, Porky, that was a first-class performance.
Thank you very much indeed.
And now, I can't be accused of picking weird questions because I was picking the questions as they came up on the cards.
Yeah.
You were choosing the colours.
Yeah, but then you could take another card if you
no.
thought this question's
Yeah, but
hard
you
enough.
see, only you
Look,
would-
once again, I got
only
off to a
you would
great
think
start. 2 out of 3 in the first 3, and then the question, the nature of the questions
No.
completely changed.
Yeah, but all I could do is read the questions as you asked me to do them.
Yeah.
Dazza says this, the best performance in the Porky Quiz for months, and instead of being gracious, he still beats on about gerrymandering.
Yeah, well,
See, that's the problem.
It goes on.
Stephen says, well done, Porky. Old MG could not fix the questions. Look what happens. You are an inspiration to us all.
Thank you very much indeed. I
Well,
bet you
hang
didn't think I'd get Bhutan, did you?
I was very impressed that you got Bhutan.
See.
But I was disappointed that you didn't get Franz Ferdinand. Craig says
Well, I
Franz
got
Ferdinand...
Kaiser and Kaiser Chiefs.
No.
That was the answer.
No, it wasn't, because Franz Ferdinand, as Craig says, was an Archduke, Porky.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're all called Kaiser over there. Don't worry about it.
Bob says Bulgar is wheat.
Right?
Right?
Wheat, okay. Right, okay. Why do I always sense scepticism in Porky's voice on the fairness of the Porky Quiz, says William. Well, that's because there is history of gerrymandering round here, which is now actually endemic within this place.
There's no gerrymandering whatsoever. And, I mean, a number of different ways that you've asked to have the quiz done, which has taxed the patience of almost everybody in the organisation, and we've always acceded to whichever request you've put in, whether the questions are, dictated by you, whether they come from Trivial Pursuit, whether the independent quiz masters are told that they can only look at a specific period of time. I mean, we've done it all different ways, and you still moan about it. That's the problem.
Well, I'm sorry, but I have very high standards.
Really?
Somebody reminds us, Andrew, in fact, that old Tim Piggott-Smith died over a month ago.
Did he?
R.I.P. Yeah, well, we'd all agree with that.
Well, rest in peace indeed. We were giving him a big sort of heads up, though, because you said he was very good as Charles.
Yeah, he was very good indeed, I thought so,
sad that he didn't get to see the finished product, I suppose.
That's right. Now, a few people mourning the fact that we're not going to be here next week.
Yeah.
Mahanti, mid-afternoon here in New Zealand, fellas. Really going to miss you, the two mics next week. Well,
don't worry.
We'll
we've got a couple of surprises. We've got a couple of podcasts which you'll be able to get your hands on.
We have,
which should keep you going for a little bit. Yeah. And also, of course, you can always go back through the catalogue. And if you don't want to do that, you can go onto our website, the2mics.co.uk, and you can listen to a couple of our live podcasts, and one from Whitley Bay and one from Liverpool.
That's right, you definitely can.
Now, one from Tom here, he says, was that a junior edition of Trivial Pursuit? Easy questions, awful Porky performance.
No, I'm sorry, but I mean, most of the people are saying I did extremely well there under difficult circumstances. Luxury Lizzie, who is a regular correspondent, wishing us a great weekend. Have a great weekend, guys. That's because she's been taken in, you see, by your view of life, that weekends are just for relaxation and, laissez-faire attitude
it's
and
not about that.
Bladderation. I never stop at weekends because I'm always looking forward to next week's shows, I'm always starting again. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, somebody just sent a picture of somebody doing a snatch lift.
Oh, I see.
Which is being done by a young woman not wearing very much in the way of clothing.
And then falls down on her head.
She's also falling down.
Nearly kills her.
Quite funny,
come on, this is a family show. Don't get into that sort of thing.
It is absolutely right. And by the way, the fact that you wish to spend your entire life working should not in any way detract from other people who wish to spend their time sometimes doing other things. For example, my son, who's still suffering from some kind of weird tonsillitis, he's been off school for an entire week. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in the morning and spending some time with him over the weekend where I can give him a bit of a cuddle, make him feel a little bit better.
Yeah, well, that's
good. And, sometimes going off to work all the time and not seeing your children is a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'm rather looking forward to having a bit of time away from you and with them. That's what I want to do.
I think we should let the audience know that June is going to be a very exciting month here on Talk Sport.
It certainly is.
We are going to, Old MG and I are going to be broadcasting a show on 26 of the 30 days of June.
Yeah, well, that's not necessarily something to celebrate.
No, it's brilliant.
What am I going to be doing with my family during those other periods?
Well, you'll have to make arrangements, mate, because there are priorities in life.
But you'd like to do that every month, wouldn't you?
Well, I wouldn't object to it. We're doing mid-morning, which is 10 till 1, Monday to Friday.
Yes.
And we're doing the warm-up on Saturdays, which vary between 11 to 1, 11 to 2, and sometimes even 10 till 2.
Yeah, it could be. It depends on what's going on.
And if
June's a bit of a quiet month in regards to sport, is it not?
But it's not for us because we have very active
Well,
brains.
listen, we don't have such a thing as a quiet month. There's always things going on. There always happens to be an election going on in the middle of it.
Of course.
Right, which we will be doing. And in addition to the daytime stuff that we're doing.
We are.
Because a lot of people have said, we hope you're going to do a special on the election.
That's right.
We are definitely going to do that overnight.
We are going to do the overnight
which will be June the 8th.
On the night of June the 8th, into June the 9th. Then when we've wrapped that up at 6 a.m, we're going to go to the Savoy for breakfast, as you always do on the day after an election, and we're going to come back for the mid-morning show at 10 o'clock.
Are we?
We are indeed.
Are you going to provide the champagne?
I am indeed.
Excellent.
No problem.
I look forward to that.
Yes. Okay.
Very good. Now, there's a woman that we're going to be in touch with over in New York who's going to be talking to us about the New York show.
Yeah.
Natalie Evans is her name.
Natalie.
She works for the Mirror over in New York.
Yeah.
She's in charge of their digital operation.
Okay.
She just sent out a story in which it says the man now running the FBI has just testified that Donald Trump is lying over James Comey. Now, that's an interesting line, isn't
Well,
it?
hang on. Is he the man running the FBI? There is nobody running the FBI at the moment. They haven't got a director.
Well,
because
they have
Comey's
got
been
somebody.
sacked.
They have got somebody who's taken over from James Comey, who is called Andrew McCabe, right? He's praised Comey and said that his
but
former
hang on, he
boss.
hasn't formally taken over, has he? Because I thought Giuliani was getting the job.
No, he's the acting
He's the
FBI
acting,
director.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right, so he has taken over, technically.
Yeah.
He's praised Comey and said that his former boss enjoyed broad support amongst those in the agency. So for Donald Trump to say that he had lost the support of those people in the agency, he's saying is incorrect.
Yeah, well.
And he's also saying that he never, he's declined to say whether he ever heard Comey tell Trump that he was not a target of an investigation into possible collusion between Russia and the president's 2016 election campaign. It doesn't get any less murky over there, does it?
It's a can of worms, to say the least.
It's a can of worms, but it's also, I've never known a period of history where news is so difficult to come by. Because, you can't any longer just go to a source and say, what's actually happening here?
Yes.
What you get instead is somebody's view of what's happening.
Yes.
And somebody else saying that, they think this is going to happen.
That's right.
But what you don't get anymore, which we used to get, is basically what is going on.
Yes.
You just get two different
What's
versions of it.
going on?
You get two different versions of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm not in favour of it.
Right, now let me tell you something.
Go on.
You better watch what you're doing.
I always watch what I'm doing.
The latest divorce settlements, right, the highest in the world, and it had to be in a London court, even though it doesn't involve London people.
Yeah.
453 million.
I saw something about this, yeah.
It's another Russian oligarch.
Yeah, well, the thing is, London, unfortunately, has become the divorce capital of the world because the way that, shall we say, marital sort of assets are dispersed between a divorcing couple
That's right.
is the most favourable to women in the world, in this country.
That's right. Amongst the things awarded to her, an art collection worth more than £90 million.
Very nice.
A unique and privately built Aston Martin worth £350,000. Okay. Jewellery worth more than £300,000. And future unlimited access to credit cards, use of a yacht, a plane and a helicopter.
Unlimited access to credit cards. That sounds like a bad idea.
It really does.
This is Talk Sport. What is both a weightlifting move and a word for a foolish person?
A weightlifting move and a foolish person. Now, I'm
That's
thinking
easy,
aloud
that.
here, and I'm thinking snatch, because that is a that is a weightlifting move, right? Your problem is.